Chapter 447. The demon race is definitely not the mortal enemy of the human race. Descendants should not be used as weapons. The fall of 100 sages was passed down by the sages. The sages left behind the world suppressing sacred steel to prevent demons and monsters from coveting our descendants in the 9 states. Although the hypocrite sage did not achieve his goal, his descendants will control the 9 states sooner or later. If our descendants achieve something one day, please overthrow his descendants and save the 9 states. Lin Chen's fragmented spiritual will became thinner and thinner. In the end, Lin Chen saw that many saints had fallen in the various realms of the 9 regions. Their bodies had turned into mountains and seas, and even condensed into a vast and majestic stone tablet, suppressing the continental plate. The steel was engraved with the divine power and spirituality of the sages. It had the power of creation and was hidden in the secular world. Some turned into mountains, some turned into storms, some turned into stars, and some turned into deserts. There were also some that turned into a tall tower that reached the 9 heavens and rushed into the clouds. As it condensed, Lin Chen saw a series of code names. Fire Phoenix Big Dipper number 19. Lin Chen was completely focused, afraid that he would miss a single detail. Then, he saw a world-suppressing sacred steel fall into the easternmost part of the continent. Finally, it turned into 2 valleys that were shaped like crescent moons. On it was engraved, Imperial God Mysterious Dragon number 47. Lin Chen remembered the location of the valleys very clearly. If it corresponded to the current 9 states continent, its approximate location would be the Divine Prefecture. Imperial God Mysterious Dragon number 47 was in the most prosperous Divine Prefecture in the 9 states continent. It was said that there were servants and descendants of the gods in charge of the heavens and earth. Lin Chen's heart couldn't calm down for a long time after he finished looking at this ball of spirit light. That battle had been too shocking. He hadn't even fought an 8th level or 9th level Yuan Venerate, let alone a battle between a war emperor and a saint. Something is wrong. Something is wrong. In the 9 states continent, even children and mortals know that the human race in the 9 states continent was created by the gods. It was the gods who gave us intelligence and life. It was also the gods who created the 9 states continent and divided it into 9 continental plates. But why didn't a god appear in the inheritance of the spiritual light? Why didn't a god appear? Moreover, the 9 provinces continent wasn't made up of 9 continental plates. Instead, it was connected into one complete continent. It was only after experiencing that unprecedented war that the 9 regions continent split into 9 continents and evolved into the final 9 regions. Who's the one lying? Who represented the truth? Where were the gods, and what was with the descendants of the gods? Why didn't the gods appear during the Great War, but after countless years, the descendants of the gods ran rampant in the 9 regions? Lin Chen's heart was filled with questions. He seriously looked at the Fire Phoenix, Big Dipper, number 19 on the giant door. After receiving the information contained within the spiritual light ball, Lin Chen knew that this was a world-suppressing sacred steel. It was a relic left behind by a sage, and it contained the sage's inheritance. However, according to the spiritual light ball, the boundary-suppressing sacred steel would not reveal its true form. This heavenly spirit battle tower had revealed its true form for many years. Obviously, it already had an owner. What about the sacred god, Mysterious Dragon, number 47? According to his previous memories, the world-suppressing sacred steel number 47 was located in the most prosperous divine continent. There were countless geniuses there, and even the descendants of the gods were there. Had it also been discovered? No matter what, I have to make a trip to the divine continent when I have time. This world-suppressing sacred steel is no small matter. It contains the inheritance of a sage. If I can obtain the inheritance of a sage, perhaps I can take a step closer to the truth. When facing the so-called god behind the Ning family, I will have more confidence. Lin Chen's eyes flashed. He had already made up his mind. As long as he had the chance, he would go to the Divine Continent to investigate. With a flash of light, Lin Chen stepped into the exit of the 9th floor and disappeared. Outside the battle tower, an unprecedented earthquake was set off in the Yen capital because of Lin Chen. Lin Chen seemed to have expected it and deliberately used that Azure Dragon Shadow to sneak into the void. Other than a few experts, no one saw when he left the Heavenly Spirit Battle Tower. The Heavenly Spirit List Conference came to an end. Hanging above the Yen capital was a majestic ranking board that was tens of thousands of zhang tall. Countless names and ranks were listed on it. There were also the names of the previous champions, but there was an incomparably eye-catching name on the list. Lin Chen. 79th Heavenly Spirit List Conference. Number 1 in calculation, number 1 in power ranking, number 1 in forging, number 1 in alchemy. This was the first time in history that he had won 4 consecutive championships. His brilliance would shine through the ages and be unprecedented, especially since he was the first person in history to reach the 8th and 9th levels, and he was the only one to challenge the 2-team mode alone. With regards to the commotion in the Yen capital, Lin Chen ignored it and rushed to the treasure pavilion at full speed. He bought the 5th volume of the Azure 9 Brilliant Transformations. Other than that, he still had more than 1,000 Heavenly Spirit points left. The champion of the finals could obtain 500 Heavenly Spirit points, and he had won a total of 4 finals. Every Heavenly Spirit point was extremely precious. 1 Heavenly Spirit point could be exchanged for a 6th-level Heavenly Treasure. This time, Lin Chen had used up all his Heavenly Spirit points to buy hundreds of medicinal herbs and a small number of rare ores. After the purchase, Lin Chen buried himself in the secret room and used a day to recover to his peak state. Then, he used 90 points of Cultivation Technique Essence to inherit the 5th volume of the Azure 9 Brilliant Transformations. After completing the inheritance of the 5th volume of the Azure 9 Brilliant Transformations, Lin Chen ended his seclusion. At this time, the experts of the Yen capital had already begun to leave. After the upper echelons of the Heavenly Song Academy had finished dealing with many matters, the vice principal personally brought Lin Chen back to the Heavenly Song Academy. One day later, in the Academy's secret room, the surroundings were filled with battle chi barriers, and Lin Chen was ready for battle. He placed a jade box from the spirit storage ring in the secret room, and then tore off the seal that contained 2 powerful battle chi. The jade box exploded. A black saber flew through the air, its sharpness like the reincarnation of the night, annihilating life silently. It was Hun Mabai's 7th-rank saber, Eternal Night. Previously, although Lin Chen could temporarily suppress this saber, he could not completely subdue it. Hun Mabai's battle chi imprint still remained on it, and it was an imprint carved by his divine veins. It would not be easy to make this saber submit to him. In addition, this saber could not be exposed to the light. Even an ordinary combat emperor might not be able to own a 7th-rank saber. If he used it carelessly, it would be easy to invite a fatal disaster. In addition, if someone knew Hun Mabai's identity and recognized this saber, Lin Chen would be more likely to be in trouble. Therefore, Lin Chen would only use this saber at a critical moment. My strength is not what it used to be. I can't even subdue a saber of yours. Suppress it. Lin Chen activated the 3rd level of the Azure 9 Brilliant Transformations at lightning speed, and his strength rose to the late 3rd level. He controlled Eternal Night with one hand and suppressed it fiercely. The 7 types of Heavenly Calamity battle bodies were activated one after another, and Lin Chen forcefully injected his battle chi into the saber. The Azure Dragon possessed his body, and his pure strength reached 100,000 dragon power points, firmly suppressing Eternal Night. Chapter 448. Heavenly Tribulation Battle Chi entered the blade of Eternal Night, and a green mark in the shape of a plum blossom was engraved inside the blade. Activating his battle chi and spiritual energy, Lin Chun tried to erase this mark and get rid of its remaining will. This process was very difficult. The power of the godly bloodline was still strong, and Lin Chun used 3 days to suppress, resist, and erase it. On the 4th day, he finally suppressed this level 7 Emperor-level saber. He also successfully engraved his spiritual mark. Phew! I'm exhausted. Lin Chun sat on the ground, and the saber Eternal Night leaned against him, as if it had a mind of its own. I have a level 7 saber now. At least I don't have to worry about being suppressed by others in terms of weapons. After playing with Eternal Night for a while, Lin Chun put it away and sat cross-legged to recover his energy. Then, he opened the system and spent 400 intermediate cultivation technique soul essences in one go to inherit the other complete combat skill in his hands. Inheriting the low-level purple-level combat technique Soul Slayer / for the host. This combat technique was used by Hun Maobai, and Lin Chun had seen the power of this combat technique with his own eyes. The level 7 saber Eternal Night was like adding wings to a tiger when paired with this saber technique. On the 3rd day, Lin Chun completed the inheritance of this saber technique. His strength would increase by another level with Eternal Night, Soul Slayer / and 9 Brilliance change in the 5th volume. Lin Chun left the secret chamber and returned to his dormitory. When he wanted to get some fresh air, he was surprised to find a large group of masters blocking the entrance to his dormitory. These masters were all famous figures from the top-tier forces in the spiritual state. At this moment, they were all standing at the entrance of the dormitory with congratulatory gifts and children in their hands. At this moment, some elders blocked the entrance to the dormitory with strange expressions on their faces. It was a wonderful scene. What he saw next made Lin Chuan's jaw drop. He was dumbfounded. At this moment, some masters couldn't help but cry and beg. "Elders, please allow me to meet little friend Lin Chun. I've been waiting here with my daughter for 4 days and 4 nights. Elder Liao, you know my granddaughter. She's a top-notch beauty in the cold region. Although she's not good enough for little friend Lin Chun, this old man only hopes that little friend Lin Chun can suffer for 1 night and have a few intimate moments with my granddaughter. As soon as the sun rises, little friend Lin Chun only needs to put up his pants and leave. Our sect will personally escort him back. If I dare to mention anything about status, I'm not human." A dignified 6th level Yuan venerate elder in embroidered robes was actually pleading with Elder Yuan. "Your granddaughter is a top beauty. Old man Miao, are you looking down on our flying clouds palaces Yanqian Shuangxia? Our Yanqingxia and Yanqianxia are much prettier than your granddaughter." The beautiful woman in palace attire scolded coldly. Then, she smiled amiably and said to Elder Yuan, "Elder Yuan, I heard that you have a good relationship with Lin Chun. I would like to trouble you to tell him that we only wish for him to indulge in our palace's twin female disciples for 1 night, just 1 night. We won't hold Lin Chun back. If he still likes them, he can choose any of the girls in the Soaring Clouds Palace." "Everyone, stop. What are you shouting for? Our Han family was clearly here first. Why are you so familiar with this? Haven't you heard about the alchemy ceremony of the ancient families? Lin Chun is our Ziyun's assistant alchemist. The two of them have already developed feelings for each other. Even if they want to do it, it has to be first come, first served." At this moment, the 2 grand elders of the Han family couldn't help but protest. Han Ziyun, who was beside them, blushed like an apple. Who knew that the grand elders of her family would be even more imposing? She turned around and ran away anxiously. Elder Yuan felt his scalp go numb. Crazy. They must be crazy. This bunch of old fogies were all respectable people. Today, they didn't even care about their dignity. They were all King crazy. The male geniuses outside the dormitory area shook their heads in amazement. It was simply amazing. What was the pinnacle of life? It was so awesome that the saintesses of the first-rate forces and ancient families in the spiritual state would send themselves to his door, only willing to spend a night with him, even if they didn't have a status. It was King awesome for a man to reach this level. Not far away, the boys of Class 66 were rolling on the ground laughing so hard that tears were coming out of their eyes. Even Mr. Lin, who was secretly observing, was so scared that his hair stood on end. In fact, this wasn't rare. One had to know that ever since Lin Chun defeated 4 purple merit warriors, he had been showing potential that could topple the ages. Then, he became the only person to win 4 consecutive championships in the Heavenly Spirit List tournament and the only person to step into the 9th level of the Heavenly Spirit Battle Tower. It pushed his reputation to an unprecedented peak in the spiritual state. Some people said that he was the reincarnation of a saint. Some even said that he was the descendant of a god left behind in the mortal world. He was only 20 years old. If he could have such achievements, how terrifying would it be if he inherited Lin Chen's bloodline and gave birth to his descendants, even if he only inherited 1/10 of his talent? He might have the talent to at least enter the 5th level of the Heavenly Spirit Battle Tower. Or maybe he was already a grandmaster in alchemy and forging at such a young age. And this was only 1/10 of his talent. What if he inherited half of his talent? He might even have the talent to enter the 8th level of the Heavenly Spirit Battle Tower. One had to know that Lin Chun was participating in the 2-man team competition, which couldn't be measured by the difficulty of the individual competition. How could people not go crazy over such a heaven-shaking and peerless talent? Seeing more and more experts leading their own daughters, younger sisters, granddaughters, great-granddaughters, and even a few saintesses to the dormitory area, Elder Yuan was both angry and amused. You bunch of crazy old things. No matter how good my relationship with that brat is, I can't make decisions for him in this regard. No. Elder Yuan, I beg you, please help us. Many masters were wailing. In the dormitory area, Lin Fan's mouth was twitching violently. After being cocky for so long, he finally got to enjoy the treatment of being the most handsome man in the 9 state. Our class monitor, don't you plan to go out and have a harem of 3,000 women? At this time, a faint feminine fragrance lingered in the air. A group of girls appeared behind Lin Chen. They were the girls of Class 66. Yu Linlin, who was leading the group, covered her mouth and chuckled. She pretended not to care, but her beautiful eyes were observing Lin Chen's reaction. How can the girls outside be as pretty as you little cuties? Lin Chen winked and smiled evilly at the girls. Yu Linlin rolled her eyes at Lin Chen. Before the girls could speak, 3 figures rushed into Lin Chen's dormitory area. Bring them here quickly. Be careful. Junior Lin Chen, something bad happened. A series of hurried voices came from the distance. The people who came were Lin Tianjian, Xia Feiyu, and Lu Ying, whom Lin Chen had once saved. Among them, Lu Ying was carrying a beautiful figure on her back. It was Lin Yueqi. Lin Chen's eyes immediately turned cold. Chapter 449. What's going on? When Lin Chen asked, Lu Ying hurriedly said, Miss Lin Yueqi was discovered when she sneaked into the 4 Prime Ministers' pavilion and was severely injured by their people. We only found her when we were passing by the 4 Prime Ministers' pavilion to carry out a mission. We barely managed to bring her back in the name of the Academy. Lin Chen immediately checked Lin Yueqi's injuries. Her blood-stained slender hand grabbed Lin Chen's sleeve. Her lips trembled as tears flickered in her eyes. Lin Chen, the enemy who killed my parents, is in the 4 Prime Ministers' pavilion. As soon as she said this, the killing intent in Lin Chen's eyes suddenly brewed with thousands of sharp rays. Late at night, Lin Chen's dormitory area. A warm current seeped into Lin Yueqi's delicate body. Her beautiful eyes opened slightly, and the young man's face came into view. How is it? Are you all right? Lin Chen asked with concern. Lin Yueqi got up from the bed. She had always been strong and independent, but this time, Her eyes were red and tears streamed down. Hugging the beauty, Lin Chen gently stroked Ling Yueqi's black hair. After her emotions stabilized, he asked the reason. It turned out that Ling Yueqi did not go to the Heavenly Spirit List assembly to meet up with Lin Chen because there was a new investigation discovery. Back then, she had always suspected that there was something fishy about her parents' death. According to the mission given by the family, it was only to collect some heaven and earth treasures. Although the mission location was slightly dangerous, with the strength of her parents, it was impossible for both of them to die so thoroughly. After returning from the holy fire level, Ling Yueqi already had enough strength. She went to the place where her parents died and investigated the truth of that year. After nearly half a year of searching back and forth, not letting go of any clues, she finally found a clue. In the place where her parents died, Frost Grand Canyon, there was a special battle trace, a crack similar to claw marks. After Ling Yueqi obtained evidence, it was a trace left behind by a combat skill called 4 Prime Azure Dragon Force. And this combat skill was the inherited combat skill of the 4 Prime Ministers' Pavilion. The grade was half purple, and only a few high-level powerhouses would use it. Coincidentally, the 2 ancestors of the 4 Elements Pavilion had been in closed-door training for a period of time when Ling Yueqi's parents died, and their cultivation had improved greatly. Therefore, Ling Yueqi reported this matter to the Ling clan. However, because a portion of the upper echelons of the Ling clan had gone to the Heavenly Spirit List Assembly, the other portion was afraid of the overall strength of the 4-phase pavilion. Although this sect's strength was not strong on the surface, the disciples of the pavilion had spread their influence in many top-notch first-rate forces. It would be inappropriate to rashly question them. The elder who stayed behind to guard the Ling clan replied to Ling Yueqi that they had to wait until the end of the Heavenly Spirit List assembly and the elders returned before making a decision. However, seeing that the cause of her parents' deaths was right in front of her eyes, Ling Yueqi could not wait for the Heavenly Spirit List assembly to end before sneaking into the 4 Ministers' Pavilion. In the end, after confirming that the 2 great ancestors of the 4 Ministers' Pavilion were the ones who killed her parents, Ling Yueqi exposed her whereabouts. After hearing the entire story, Lin Chen fell into a short silence. Ling Yueqi clenched her teeth and said with a tearful voice, "I'm sorry, was I too reckless? I also want to calm down, but—" "Teacher Yueqi, no Yueqi, you did the right thing." Lin Chen held her in his arms as a cold light flashed in his eyes. "No one can remain calm in front of their enemies who killed their parent. You've done a good job all these years. Next, try to rely on me." Hearing the youth's comforting words, Ling Yueqi grabbed his clothes and sobbed softly. A moment later, Ling Yueqi's face returned to its usual cold and beautiful appearance. She smiled sweetly, her beauty unmatched in her generation. "Then, let me rely on you this one time." The next morning, Lin Chen pushed open the door to his room and flew into the air with Ling Yueqi. "I say, class monitor, you're going to cause trouble and not bring us along. Isn't that too much?" That's right. I only found out now that Teacher Yueqi and the class monitor are together. Hee, this is a forbidden love. You can't leave us out of such a good thing." At this time, the young boys and girls teased behind the 2. Lu Ying, Lin Tianjian, Xia Feiyu, Han Xiun, Yun Manqing, and the others were also among them. Facing the crowd, Lin Chen smiled. "Then, since everyone is interested and Class 66 is gathering again today, let's fight together." "Fight where?" Ying Liang and Bai Juanhao asked in unison, the 2 rubbing their palms together. "The 4 Ministers' Pavilion. How far should we fight?" "Exterminate those sons of B***cheese of Supreme Elders. Cloud Spirit Mountain, 4 Seas." This place was surrounded by the sea, but the mountain range was like a horned dragon that stretched for tens of thousands of miles. There was a 4 Ministers' Pavilion on Cloud Spirit Mountain, majestic. It was 70,000 feet tall, and there were many ancient palaces around the pavilion. It had the aura of a famous sect. Yun Songhai Yunming, get out here, you two old dogs! An angry roar was heard, and the sound was like a raging wave, shattering the mountains and rivers and shaking the wind and clouds. The waves in all directions were shaken, and huge waves that were hundreds of feet high surged continuously. Some of the disciples with lower cultivations were dizzy, and some even fainted on the spot. How dare you? Who dares to offend the four ministers' pavilion? The angry roar suddenly rang out, and the territory directly below the four ministers' pavilion activated the sect's protective array. A pale green energy shield protected an area of thousands of miles. Bang! Unexpectedly, a strong wind kick, mixed with dragon power that could move mountains and fill the sea, burst forth with wind calamity battle chi that cut through the void and shattered the energy shield. One blow. Their sect's protective array was shattered with just one blow. The disciples of the four ministers' pavilion were shocked. This was a sect's protective array that could withstand the attack of a late-stage fifth-level Yuan Venerate. A few afterimages suddenly appeared in the void. They were dressed in green robes and had white hair and long beards, looking very much like those sage-like old seniors. The two people in the lead were late-stage and mid-stage, seventh-level Yuan Venerate. The dragon light tore through the clouds, and the profound azure dragon broke through the clouds and lay on the horizon. A group of young figures stood in front of the dragon's head. From today onwards, the four ministers' pavilion officially disappears from the spirit state. All unrelated disciples must leave immediately, or their lives will be in the hands of the heavens. The silver-robed figure in front of the dragon's head announced loudly. The elders and disciples of the four ministers' pavilion could not help but turn pale when they felt the suffocating pressure of the profound azure dragon. You're young, but you talk big. The four ministers' pavilion has been in the spirit state for thousands of years and has countless powerhouses. How can a brat like you threaten the four ministers' pavilion? Yun Songhai, the late-stage, seventh-level Yuan Venerate leader, sneered with a flick of his sleeve. He could see that this kid's strength was extraordinary, and it was his attack that broke the sect's protective array. However, the lineup he brought today was not enough to pose a threat to the survival of the four ministers' pavilion, so it's a helper brought by the girl from the Ling family. It seems that the four ministers' pavilion should not have let you off that day. Elder Yunming, who was at mid-stage, seventh-level Yuan Venerate, looked at Ling Yueqi beside Lin Chen and laughed maliciously. Chapter 450. There were all sorts of first-rate forces in the spiritual state, and they were considered second-rate forces if they had at least 2 Yuan Venerates. They could be considered first-rate forces if they had 8 Yuan Venerates and 2 of them were at least at the 5th level of the Yuan Venerate realm. Some first-rate forces had a long history, and forces like the Sacred Sun Temple would even have a war emperor. Of course, this was only a small number. As for the ancient families, they were all powerful families that had survived from ancient times and had countless sovereigns. However, they rarely appeared in the spiritual state. The strongest powerhouse in the four Prime Minister Pavilion was a late-stage, 7th-level Yuan Venerate. There were 15 Yuan Venerates and 5 4th-level Yuan Venerate. Such a lineup could already be considered top-notch among first-rate factions. However, even though this bone was tough for Lin Chen, it didn't mean that he couldn't chew through it. Wait a minute. 10,000-year profound azure dragon? Could this kid be Lin Chen? The pavilion master of the four Prime Minister Pavilion exclaimed. Lin Chen? Why? Does this kid have a special background? A 6th-level Grand Elder asked cautiously. The 3 Grand Elders of the 4 Prime Minister Pavilion were in seclusion all year round, so they didn't know about Lin Chen's reputation in the spiritual state. This kid is the rising star of the Sky Song Academy. Before the pavilion master of the 4 Prime Minister Pavilion could finish his sentence, dozens of streams of wind calamity battle aura shot toward him. The pavilion master of the 4 Prime Minister Pavilion retreated in shock when the streams of wind calamity battle aura turned into wind blades. His 4th level cultivation couldn't withstand such an attack. The Grand Elder of the mid-6th level Grand Elder stretched out his hand and clawed out. His 5 fingers shattered the void and blocked Lin Chen's attack. Lin Chen, you and I have no grudges in the past. Why did you make such a big deal out of it? Can't we sit down and talk? Is there a misunderstanding between us? The pavilion master said hurriedly. Lin Chen's lips curled into a sneer. Misunderstanding? Go ask Yun Songhai and Yun Ming, those 2 old dogs. The pavilion master looked at the 2 elders in panic. They were silent and his heart skipped a beat. Seeing that Ling Yueqi was present, Yun Songhai knew the reason in his heart. After exchanging a glance with Yun Ming, the 2 of them reached a consensus. Since these 2 old dogs don't speak, they naturally have some idea in their hearts. Today, I said that I will destroy your 4 Prime Minister's pavilion, so I will definitely wipe you out. Even the words of the King of Heaven don't work. Lin Chen's eyes revealed an ominous glint. He suddenly activated the Phantom Rune. Class 66, Lin Tianjian, and the rest leaped down from the dragon's head. According to the original plan, Lin Chen was responsible for dealing with the 3 highest fighting forces of the other side, while the rest of the people went to destroy the grand formation of the 4 ministers' pavilion. If they were to activate the grand formation of the inner pavilion, it would unite the power of the entire 4 ministers and concentrate it on the 3 Taishang elders. Every one of the 4 prime ministers, activate the grand formation of the inner pavilion and fight. Don't let them succeed. The pavilion master of the 4 prime minister shouted anxiously. He had watched the battle in the Sky Spirit Battle Tower. Lin Chen had even passed through the 9th level, so his combat strength was comparable to at least 2 7th level Yuan Venerates. Rumble. Lin Chen's 2 phantom doppelgangers used the astral treading teleportation technique and crippled the 2 3rd level Yuan Venerate elders who were about to activate the grand formation. Inside the 4 Prime Minister's pavilion, Class 66 and the rest, led by Lin Chen's doppelgangers, immediately charged into the 4 Prime Minister's pavilion. The entire mountain range fell into chaos. Some of the outer pavilion disciples had already fled in panic, leaving only a few inner pavilion disciples who were hesitant. Not good. His doppelgangers actually used them without any warning. We can't let him destroy the foundation of the 4 Prime Minister's pavilion. The pavilion master's expression changed slightly. He changed his movement technique and rushed down, leading the entire 4 Prime Ministers Yuan Venerates to fight Lin Chen's doppelgangers. In the void. Yueqi, wait for me here. I will personally capture these 2 old dogs alive. Lin Chen turned to look at Ling Yueqi. His gaze suddenly became much gentler as he smiled and said, "Take it as a way to comfort my future father-in-law and mother-in-law. Okay. Be careful. I'll wait for you." Ling Yueqi gazed at Lin Chen tenderly. The green dragon turned into a stream of light and attached itself to Lin Chen's body. Lin Chen's 3rd doppelganger carried a purple scabbard black saber and guarded Ling Yueqi closely. The pure power of his main body soared to 100,000 dragon power points. "Do you think you can fight the 3 of us alone?" Yun Songhai was so angry that he laughed. The pavilion master secretly transmitted his voice. "Patriarch, be careful. This lad has the strength of at least 2 7th level Yuan Venerates. Don't be careless." As soon as he said that, the 2 old men's expressions changed. Lin Chen's body surged with battle chi that blotted out the sky and covered the moon. 9 brilliance change. First change. The thunder calamity battle body suddenly exploded. Lin Chen's body released thousands of lightning bolts. Thousands of thunder roared and the wind and clouds changed abruptly. His battle chi soared to the early stage of level 3. Second change. The wind calamity battle body merged into an endless wind eye and swallowed everything. Lin Chen's Wind Calamity Battle Chi shattered the space crystal wall with just a glance. Mid-stage of Level 3. Third change. The Gung Metal Battle Chi hung in the sky like a Milky Way. The Gold Calamity Battle Body transformed, and every strand of Lin Chen's hair glowed with an invincible sharpness. Late stage of Level 3. Fourth change. Millions of volcanoes erupted at the same time. The mountains rumbled and the earth rumbled. A sea of fire swept across the sky. The Fire Calamity Battle Body was like the end of the world. The fourth Battle Chi Yuan Palace condensed. Early stage of Level 4. Fifth change, activate. The surging dark Battle Chi was like a bottomless hell that spanned across the sky. The aura of the Dark Calamity Battle Body was like the sun and moon in the sky, making Lin Chen look like a demon king that had descended upon the world. Finally, his cultivation stopped at the late stage of Level 4. At that moment, all the Yuan venerates within a radius of 100,000 miles were alarmed. The aura of the 5 Heaven Calamity Battle Bodies fused together and was released in the form of the 9 Brilliance Change. The Battle Chi fluctuation was equivalent to a large-scale mixed Heaven Calamity suddenly descending. What an overbearing Battle Chi fluctuation! Isn't that the direction of the 4 prime pavilions? What exactly is going on? There's a big battle in the 4 prime pavilions. What's going on? Could it be related to the infiltration of the Lung clan's Holy Maiden a few days ago? Many powerhouses looked on in shock. The 4 prime pavilions were a subsidiary force of the Murong clan. They were backed by genuine ancient families. Who would dare to touch them? When the 5 transformations of the 9 Brilliance transformations were completed in less than half a breath's time, the 3 Grand Supreme Elders' expressions revealed shock. They could still feel the aura of Lin Chen's Heaven Calamity Battle Body from thousands of miles away. It was so tyrannical that even late-stage Level 7 prime pavilions trembled. Attack! Suppress him! The moment Yun Songhai shouted, the 3 Supreme Elders attacked. Blue veins popped out on their arms as Battle Chi condensed like dragon patterns and fiercely clawed out. 12 light white dragon claw marks crossed the sky and suddenly attacked Lin Chen, who was thousands of miles away. This was the third move of the 4 prime Azure Dragon. It was a half-purple grade technique of the 4 prime pavilions. Against this junior, the 3 Supreme Elders did not hesitate to use their strongest attack on Lin Chen. Chapter 451. The aura of the 7 apocalyptic battle bodies soared crazily. Lin Chen's body emitted a faint cyan light. Talent points decreased by 1,000. His rune points decreased by 150. Ultimate moment Shura's 9 glory change. 5 changes. Lin Chen's strength had reached an unprecedented peak. He wielded the 5 Dragons' Imperial Spear at an extreme speed, unleashing his 100,000 dragon power point. Dark spear shadows shot into the sky and pierced through all the dragon claw marks. 1,000 demons piercing heart. The vast dark light pierced through the void and crushed the 3's attacks. It didn't weaken at all and continued to attack the 3. Lin Chen's palm shook fiercely, and the power of his spear became even more ferocious, causing the 3 people's expressions to change greatly. How can this kid be so strong? Retreat. Yun Songhai wanted to cover the other 2's retreat. He slapped 3 times in a row, and the wood energy turned into dozens of wood energy palms. They stacked on top of each other and suppressed Qianyu. The terrifying weight of the battle aura crushed the crystal walls within 1,000 miles. The dark light spear shadows pierced through the wood energy palms, and countless spear shadows pierced through Yun Songhai. Although the other 2 managed to escape the attack range, he was severely injured. How can this be? This kid destroyed half of my purple sun armor with one strike? Blood flowed out of the corner of his mouth. Yun Songhai clutched the broken purple sun armor in front of his chest. His eyes were filled with disbelief. Half of his superior rank 6 life-saving weapon had been destroyed by Lin Chen. Lin Chen, who had reached the late stage of Tier 4, relied on the ultimate moment, the penetration rune, and the power of the 7 apocalypse battle bodies. He didn't even need to use the charging rune to break through Yun Songhai's defense. Rip! A flash of lightning flashed by at an unimaginable speed. 9 streaks of black dragon inscriptions swirled around his palm as he slapped the 6th Heaven Intermediate Stage Elder. Oh no! The mid-stage Tier 6 Elder was terrified. He subconsciously activated his battle aura to defend himself. Bang! 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 The dark dragon energy twisted and exploded, shattering the Elder's battle aura defense. He fell from the sky covered in blood. He was unconscious and didn't know if he was dead or alive. The incomparably ferocious dragon claw suddenly attacked, and the golden battle spear swept out. Yun Songhai desperately approached Lin Chen, madly trying to delay his movements. "Hurry up and catch that brat's woman!" Yun Songhai transmitted his voice at the top of his lungs. Yun Ming immediately understood what he meant. His body shuttled back and forth like a streak of starlight, and in just a few steps, he appeared not far away from Ling Yueqi. Yun Songhai had thought that Lin Chen would recklessly rush over, but he didn't expect that Lin Chen would actually focus all of his attention on the battle with him. As the Golden War Spear swung and smashed repeatedly, Lin Chen suppressed a late-stage, 7th-rank powerhouse and could only barely defend himself. "Are you kidding me? Isn't he worried about his woman?" Yun Songhai was shocked, but he was more confident that he would win. This guy dared to attack the 4 Prime Minister Pavilion for his woman. As long as he controlled his woman, he would not dare to act rashly. On the other side, facing Yun Ming's attack, Lin Chen's phantom doppelganger stepped out indifferently and grasped the hilt of the purple-sheathed black saber in his hand. When Lin Chen performed the ultimate moment, only his real body was effective. If he wanted his doppelganger to enter the ultimate moment state, he would have to spend additional talent points. Therefore, the phantom doppelganger at this moment was only Lin Chen activating the strength of the 5th stage. "Do you think a mere doppelganger like you can stop my real body? Die." Yun Ming grinned hideously and slapped his palms forward. His 5 fingers were filled with the aura of destruction, and the dark green battle aura in all directions was destroyed by the dragon claw marks. Clang! Bang! 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 With a sound that sounded like a dragon's roar, the phantom doppelganger unsheathed the saber. The saber aura was as thin and condensed as a horizontal line, cutting through the void. Even the light within 1,000 miles was caught in the cycle of reincarnation, and the void instantly fell into eternal darkness. Hiss! What kind of saber technique is this? Yun Ming's pupils trembled slightly as he sucked in a breath of cold air. Just as he was about to retreat, a stream of light flashed past and cut through the spatial crystal wall. Blood sprayed out from his arm. Yun Ming, who was in the middle of the 7th stage, had his arm cut off by the phantom doppelganger, who was in the late 4th stage. This scene was reflected in the eyes of the surrounding experts, and they couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. It's Lin Chen. How did the 4 ministers provoke him? No wonder he was able to enter the 9th floor. My goodness, he broke through the attack of the middle of the 7th stage with a single saber strike and cut off an arm? Because Lin Chen had unsheathed his saber so quickly, no one could see that the saber had already returned to the scabbard the moment the eternal night was unsheathed. Yun Ming bit the tip of his tongue and changed his hand seals rapidly. 4 ministers' life sacrifice. The spiritual energy of heaven and earth converged into a terrifying vortex of blood clouds. Seeing this scene, the expressions of the elders of the 4 ministers all changed. "No, don't. 2 grand ancestors, please reconsider." A large number of elders of the 4 ministers, including the pavilion master, wailed. Seeing this, Yun Songhai flew back and made the same hand seals as Yun Ming. Bang! 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 Countless explosions occurred in the 4 ministers. All the elders above the 5th stage of the Heaven Star Border realm exploded into a bloody mist. Boundless bloody mist began to rise rapidly into the sky and converge into Yun Ming and Yun Songhai's bodies. Their cultivation began to fluctuate, and Yun Ming's cultivation temporarily stepped into the late stage of the 7th stage. As for Yun Songhai, he vaguely touched upon the 8th stage. However, the price was that more than half of the 4 ministers were destroyed. All the elders were killed, and the current pavilion master was no exception. "You don't even need to hesitate to kill your own people?" Lin Chen sneered indifferently. He used another 1,000 talent points to maintain his ultimate moment. "Yun Ming, let's kill this brat together. Don't bother about his woman." Yun Ming transmitted his voice to Yun Ming. He gave up on Ling Yueqi and surrounded Lin Chen. Clearly, they had paid a heavy price and didn't plan to capture Ling Yueqi alive. Instead, they planned to take Lin Chen's life. "No matter who you are, you will bear all the losses that you have caused the 4 ministers to suffer today." Yun Songhai's hair was messy, and he looked cold and crazy. He and Yun Ming instantly reached out and pointed their fingers at the void. 2 giant fingers of energy that could shatter the crystal walls of space pressed toward Lin Chen. 100,000 dragon power erupted like 10,000 dragons. Lin Chen activated the Azure Dragon's divine ability, the profound Azure Dragon domain, to slightly slow down the attack of the energy fingers. At the same time, the 5 dragons' imperial spear stabbed out rapidly, and 2 streaks of spear light crossed the sky. The spear light collided with the energy fingers, and an earth-shattering explosion swept across the sky. In the sky above the 4 ministers, Lin Chen's other 2 doppelgangers hurriedly protected the people of Class 66. In the void, the 2 elders retreated a dozen or so steps, and Lin Chen only managed to stabilize himself after retreating 50 steps. "It seems that if I don't use the recharge rune, the 5-fold transformation and the ultimate moment will be my limit against the peak and late stage 7th stage." Lin Chen made up his mind. Seeing that Lin Chen was beaten back, the 2 elders were confident that victory was in their hands, and they immediately followed up with another attack. As their battle auras surged, they unleashed another finger to crush Lin Chen. Chapter 452. Lin Chen's body was instantly covered with surging dark energy and fire tribulation flames from hell, causing his body to grow more than 30 meters tall and condense into a brilliant demon. Charging penetration rune. Brilliant demon worships the heavens. Lin Chen transformed into a brilliant demon and held the 5 dragons' imperial spear with both hands. The 5 dragons' imperial spear was intertwined with abyss-like dark battle chi. When he furiously stabbed out, the tip of the spear shot out a spiral spear light that was intertwined with dark fire. It was like a rainbow crossing the sun, crossing tens of thousands of meters in the sky, containing the power to shatter the chaos. Wow, what? How can this be the power of a late-stage 4th layer? The 2's incomplete purple rank battle skill, Meteor Finger, was suddenly crushed. The spear light pierced through the 2 and swept through the sky. There was no earth-shattering momentum, only a flash of silence. Heaven and earth returned to silence. Countless dark sparks dotted the sky, fluttering in the wind. It was as if the world was in a desperate situation. In the void, a purple phoenix flapped its wings, and the Azure Dragon appeared. It bit the 3 people and threw the 3 elders in front of Ling Yueqi like throwing dead dogs. At this time, the 3 elders were dying. Their limbs were broken, and even their battle chi natal palaces were sealed by the Azure Dragon's dragon breath. They couldn't even self-destruct. Many experts watching the battle couldn't help but tremble. To be able to capture 3 supreme elders of the 4 prime ministers alive, just how strong was Lin Chen? "Are you going to end them with your own hands?" Lin Chen stepped into the air and flew over. After dispelling the 5-layered transformations and the ultimate moment, an extremely drained and weak feeling came from his body. This was especially true for his battle force. After using the ultimate moment twice in a row, Lin Chen's battle force had been depleted to the point where it was about to affect the foundation of his battle chi natal palace. Are you okay? Leng Yueqi hurriedly supported Lin Chen. He shook his head and smiled. After swallowing 2 xianming pellets, his complexion improved. He softly said to the beauty, "If we kill these 2 people, I believe your parents will be able to rest in peace. In the future, don't do those risky things again." Okay. Leng Yueqi happily agreed. Then, her expression returned to its usual coldness as she questioned the 3. Back then, were you the ones who killed my parents? My parents shouldn't have any grievances with your 4 prime ministers. Why did you commit murder? The dying Yun Songhai looked at Leng Yueqi with a cold smile on his face. Little girl, how can there be so many reasons? Your parents were carrying out a clan mission, and the target of the mission was the 7-colored glazed flower that we wanted. We were just following the law of the jungle. Your parents' skills were inferior, so they were defeated by us. It was only natural that they died, wasn't it? It's just that I didn't expect their descendants to grow so fast and even let you bring such a strong helper. It's really our miscalculation. If we had known earlier, we wouldn't have been afraid of those 3 brats from the Heavenly Song Academy and killed all of you together. Yun Ming smiled sinisterly, and the coldness in his eyes made one's heart palpitate. It was as if they no longer regarded human lives as human lives. Leng Yueqi's pretty face turned even paler. Then, a palm wind suddenly penetrated Yun Songhai's body. His 5 fingers pierced through Yun Songhai's body. Lin Chen's gaze was so cold that it was somewhat gloomy. He smiled emotionlessly and said, "Since you all have followed the law of the jungle, then it is only right for me to eliminate you all now, right?" Leng Yueqi covered her sobs. Lin Chen smashed their skulls with a palm strike. The 3 of them died on the spot, and a large number of attribute light balls rolled down. Host has defeated a strong enemy and triggered a special reward mechanism. 1 purple crystal treasure chest has been obtained. Lin Chen hugged Leng Yueqi for a long time before she finally calmed down. Just as the 2 of them were about to speak, a crack suddenly appeared in the void and a cold laugh echoed through the sky. Very good, very good. Lin Chen from the Heavenly Song Academy, you actually dared to destroy the subordinate forces of the Murong family. I'll capture you first and let the Vice Dean of the Heavenly Song Academy come to the Murong family to retrieve you. As soon as he finished speaking, an energy crystal seal that could suppress eternity crashed down from the sky. It was an attack from a peak 9th level Yuan Venerate. It was a powerhouse from the Murong family. Just as they were about to rush to the 4 Prime Minister Pavilion, they discovered that the 4 Prime Minister Pavilion had been destroyed in such a short time. How dare you mention our Vice Dean? Coward who hides his head and tail, scram! 2 streaks of battle chi light rays that spanned thousands of miles collided and crushed the energy crystal seal. 3 figures slowly stepped into the air. They were Meng Qianma, the Vice Dean, and another senior elder of the Academy. Heavenly Song Academy? The Murong family Yuan Venerate, who had yet to show himself, exclaimed. His aura dissipated as he hurriedly fled. Little fellow, did you enjoy destroying a first-rate force single-handedly? Meng Qianma landed beside Lin Chen. Her small and delicate body jumped in front of him. Her beautiful blue eyes sparkled as she smiled. It was very enjoyable. I even want to do it again. Lin Chen chuckled but suddenly coughed violently. Everyone wanted to ask him about it, but he waved his hand and smiled. I'm fine. I just overexerted myself. I'll find some time to recuperate later and I'll be fine. By the way, how did the elders find me? Meng Qianmo rolled her eyes at him and played with her hair. The Vice Dean noticed you as soon as you left the academy. You are now the hope of the entire academy. Even the Vice Dean came out to meet you personally. We can't let anything happen to you. At this point, Lin Chen cupped his fists at the Vice Dean very seriously. Thank you, Vice Dean. Haha, you are now a famous person in the entire spirit state. Whether it is in Tianzhou or the spirit state, there are many people who want your life. Naturally, I have to keep a close eye on you. The Vice Dean covered her mouth and chuckled. This seemed to be the most energetic moment Lin Chun had ever seen her. At this time, everyone from Class 66 rushed back excitedly. They were holding a large number of high-grade weapons, spirit receiving rings, and all kinds of cultivation technique. They were all the property of the 4 Prime Minister Pavilion. They had actually stolen the property of the 4 Prime Minister Pavilion. Their skillful methods were exactly the same as Lin Chen's. As expected of a first-rate force. They even have top-grade blue-tier cultivation technique. We have struck it rich. Bai Juanhao and the others laughed excitedly. When they saw the Vice Dean, they were even more excited. This legendary figure was equivalent to a godlike existence in Class 66, who came from the Waste Realm. The Vice Dean did not put on any airs and calmly communicated with everyone. In her opinion, these young children were full of possibilities. Lin Chen laughed and shook his head. Then, he took the attribute light balls dropped by the 3 Grand Elders of the 4 Prime Minister Pavilion, the purple crystal treasure chest in the purple light pillar floating in the void, and their spirit receiving rings. Host has received 850 Heavens Path points, 100 Cultivation Technique Essence points, 5,800 Blood Essence points, 12,540 Battle Aura Essence points, 1 Spirit point. Host has received Cultivation Technique Attribute Light Ball. Received Top-Grade Blue-Tier Cultivation Technique. Host has received 1,500 Talent Points, 25 Wood Elemental Energy Points. Host has opened the Purple Crystal Treasure Chest. Received 10,000 Talent Points. Boom! Lin Chen's 3rd Battle Chi Natal Palace was successfully condensed. The Vice Dean looked at Lin Chen in amazement. He had stepped into the 3rd level Yuan Venerate realm just by grabbing the air? This little guy was really full of secrets. Chapter 453. Because Lin Chen had set up the 10,000-layer fire web technique, no one other than the Vice Dean could see through Lin Chen's true cultivation. The system status bar popped up. Congratulations, host, for reaching the early 3rd level Yuan Venerate realm. Heavenly Path Possession System version 4.0 host. Lin Chen Cultivation. Early 3rd level Yuan Venerate realm. Limit: 53,000 Dragon Power Point. Intermediate: Level 1 to 4 Blood Energy. 158,700 point. Intermediate Battle Chi Essence. 156,400 point. Intermediate Mind Power. 12 points. Mid-Transcendence Realm. Intermediate Cultivation Technique Soul Essence. 1,200 point. Intermediate Rune Energy. 2,655 point. Heaven Path Points. 33,590 point. Talent Points. 38,750 point. Intermediate Elemental Energy. 59 points for Fire Element, 47 points for Earth Element, 49 points for Wood Element, 35 points for Metal Element, 36 points for Water Element, 27 points for Lightning Element, 29 points for Wind Element, 5 points for Light Element, 88 points for Dark Element. Cultivation Technique Status Bar, Open. Bloodline Status Bar, Open. Passive Talents. Reinforced Iron Bones 15%, Life Increase 30%. Active Talents. Final Moment God Slayer Fragment 2/3, Attribute Runes. Level 4 Slowing Rune, Level 4 Penetration Rune, Level 4 Charging Rune, Level 4 Illusion Rune. Treasures in Possession. 482 types of Tier 6 medicinal herbs, 22 types of Tier 6 elixirs, 11 types of Tier 6 peak battle skills, 7 types of Tier 6 low-grade battle weapons, 4 types of Tier 6 advanced battle weapons, 3 types of half-purple battle skills, 1 type of incomplete purple battle skill. Lin Chen had obtained a large number of Battle Chi Essence attribute light balls after the battle at the 4 Prime Pavilions. He had finally broken through the bottleneck and reached the 3rd level Yuan Venerate realm. Apart from that, his 9 calamities of creation already had 8 types of calamity battle bodies. Only the last type, the light calamity battle body, was left. Lin Chen had obtained a new high-grade cultivation technique after seizing the 3 Elders' spirit storage rings. System, I would like to use 10,000 talent points to strengthen life increase. 10,000 talent points have been used to strengthen life increase to 50%. A numb warm current flowed through Lin Chen's body. This was the first time he had used the 5th transformation, 9 Brilliance transformation, coupled with the Xianming elixir and the breakthrough in his talent. He recovered. I'll find a chance to fuse them together again. Who knows, I might be able to obtain a new complete purple tier cultivation method. Lin Chen shut down the system. The vice principal immediately said to him with a serious expression, "You need to prepare and finish everything you need to do in the spiritual state. Don't miss it. The spiritual state is no longer a place for you to stay." Although there are many resources and secret realms in the academy that are suitable for you, the most suitable one is still the most prosperous divine land. If you can enter the firmament tower in the divine land, your growth rate will skyrocket. Lin Chen's eyes lit up when he heard the Vice Dean talking about the divine land. He asked, "What's the firmament tower?" Everyone in Class 66 also cast curious gazes. Divine Land's firmament tower, this was probably the most colorful piece of history in Jiuzhou. The Firmament Tower is the most popular place in the Divine Prefecture and also the most mysterious place in the 9 State. It is a supreme treasure that has existed since the immemorial era. The space inside is endless and vast, containing countless opportunities and dangers. It is said that the entire Jiuzhou continent combined might not be as vast as the space inside the tower. The Firmament Tower is a place that all the peak masters in the 9 states yearn for. As long as you can enter it, you will have a chance to become stronger. Even the combat emperors are no exception. There are even saints in the tower. It is the most precious civilization in the history of the 9 states. When the Vice Dean talked about the Firmament Tower, her beautiful eyes shone with endless charm and nostalgia. Beside her, Meng Qianma secretly whispered to Lin Chen, "I heard that the Vice Dean met our Dean in the Firmament Tower. Then, she was delayed by our Dean and had to help him manage the Tiange General Hospital." Lin Chen suddenly understood. The Vice Dean glanced at Meng Qianma, and the latter immediately shut up. "Anyway, you should take care of everything in the spiritual state. After you are fully prepared, you will depart for the Divine Land. If you have anything you want to do, I will try my best to help you." The Vice Dean's words made Lin Chen's eyes light up. "Vice Dean, you said it yourself." Seeing Lin Chen's fearless eyes, Meng Qianma's heart trembled. What is this guy trying to do? He chuckled evilly as he enunciated each and every word clearly. "I want the Vice Dean. Come with me to the Ning family." The Ning family was located in the southernmost area of the spiritual state. In the recent hundreds of years, the Ning family had changed their style and became very low-key. But today, the Ning family would welcome a special guest. Ning family, Qianyang Mountain Range. This was the entrance to the Ning family's base camp. Today, Elder Ning Xiao, who was guarding the mountain range, was very free. He was about to find a beautiful woman to sing, dance, play chess, and play ball with when a dragon's aura swept across the sky from tens of thousands of feet high. The tens of thousands of feet long dark azure dragon's body was vast like an upside-down galaxy. Its aura was majestic, and it looked down on the world. "Who is it? How dare you come to the Ning family and cause trouble? Do you want to die?" Elder Ning Xiao stepped into the air, and a dozen Heaven Star Border Stage 9 masters around him formed a combat formation. "Want to die? Elder, don't be so rude. I'm here to propose marriage today. On the dragon's head, the silver-robed young man crossed his arms in front of his chest casually. Lin Chen? So it's you who came to the Ning family. I wonder which girl Lin Chen likes? Seeing the visitor, Elder Ning Xiao immediately cupped his fists respectfully. It's not up to you to decide who I like. I want to enter the Ning family now. I don't know if you'll let me in or not. Although I'll go in regardless of whether you let me in or not. Lin Chen laughed mockingly. Elder Ning Xiao froze. In the Ning family's inner space, hundreds of thousands of miles of mountains and rivers were opened up here. It was simple and grand, and it had the aura of the wilderness and ancient martial arts civilization. It was very ancient and respectable. On the peak of the mountain, in the Ning family's imperial army's training ground, an armored young man was training 100 geniuses in the field. He was Ning Zhan, who had fought with Lin Chen before. Rumble! The dragon's aura was vast and mighty, and it pierced through the entire sky. The imperial army on the peak of the mountain looked up in shock. A vast and shocking 10,000-year black azure dragon flew over the Ning family's sky. When Ning Zhan saw the silver-robed young man on the dragon's head, his expression changed drastically. It's Lin Chen? This name was too famous in the spiritual state. After a while, it would reach the point where everyone would know about it. Thinking back to 3 years ago, he, Ning Zhan, was still able to exchange blows with Lin Chen. Today, 3 years later, he was only at Heaven Dipper Realm Stage 8. For someone like Lin Chen, he could crush him countless times with a flip of his hand. As if he felt Ning Zhan's gaze, Lin Chen turned his head slightly with a casual smile on his face. It was exactly the same as it was back then, but now it looked so mocking and powerless. Even the elders in the family can't compare to him, let alone me. What a monster! No wonder the young lady likes him. He didn't even need 10 years. In just 2 years, his legend has spread all over the spiritual state. Ning Zhan smiled bitterly and waved his hand. Okay, stop looking. Whatever happens, it's not something we can interfere with. Continue training. Chapter 454. In the Void. Lin Chen, who was standing proudly on the head of the Azure Dragon, looked down at the many geniuses and descendants of the Ning family, and a sense of pride rose in his heart. Even the once arrogant prodigies, saints, and saintesses of the Ning family could only crawl in front of him now. Previously, he was also afraid of this colossal existence. Now, it seems that the Ning family's scenery is not so mysterious, and it doesn't have the conflicting feeling that I imagined. The youth smiled, and an unprecedented earthquake began to faintly rise within the Ning family. This is the Ning family? So powerful, to be able to build such a huge plane and world out of thin air and maintain it so stable. Han Yizhi was amazed. This kind of work was worthy of being one of the top ancient families. It was many times stronger than the Han family. I wonder how big Sister Ning Qingxian is. I hope we can save her this time. Lu Lin closed her eyes and prayed. That's right. She is destined to be married off to whoever she is born to. It's like treating people like goods. Fortunately, our Yu family doesn't do this kind of thing. Otherwise, I would have torn down the house long ago. Yu Linlin angrily stomped his feet. Lin Chen told everyone the purpose of this trip to the Ning family, including part of Ning Qingshuan's background. Everyone sympathized with this girl, who seemed to be the center of attention but was actually living like a puppet. They were very supportive of Lin Chen entering the Ning family this time. Lin Lang, I hope we can save Miss Ning Qingxian this time. As a girl, she is really too pitiful. Yun Manqing couldn't bear it. She held Lin Chen's hand and stared at him pleadingly. Although you and Miss Qingxian haven't met many times, you are probably the only friend she has contacted. Don't make me look down on you. Leng Yueqi smiled sweetly. Lin Chen nodded seriously. Of course. This time, the vice principal is helping us. If they don't hand her over, I don't mind snatching her. When the vice principal heard this, he couldn't help but shake his head and laugh. This little guy was really fearless. Lin Chen of Heavenly Song Academy, and everyone from Heavenly Song Academy, welcome to the Ning clan. At this moment, two white-haired old men appeared out of thin air, holding crutches. One of them had even met Lin Chen in the waste region of the 24 domains. Who would have thought that the brat who was only in the Heavenly Dipper realm could reach such a height in just 3 years? Ordinary people could spend tens, hundreds, or even thousands of years, but they might not be able to achieve even a tenth of what he had done. Grandmaster Alchemist, Grandmaster Blacksmith, top-notch fortune teller, any one of these identities would be treated as an honored guest of the Ning clan. Hee, so it's old man Yao. Meng Qianma curled her lips and rolled her eyes, which made the other white-haired elder's eyelids twitch. It was this little devil girl who came to their Ning clan. Hee. Everyone, the head of the Ning clan would like to invite everyone down for a chat. He has already been waiting for everyone in the main hall of the Ning clan. The two old men gestured for Lin Chen to enter. His purple-gold eyes flashed and Lin Chen could vaguely sense that these two old men were 8th-level Yuan venerates. In the Ning family, they would be considered high-ranking elders. I didn't expect the legendary head of the Ning clan to appear. Lin Chen smiled and waved his hand, sending the 10,000-year black-green dragon flying at a low altitude. Hey, Lin Chen, I wonder if you can keep your green dragon. It's not in line with the rules of the Ning clan. Elder Yao rubbed his hands and smiled apologetically. Lin Chen raised his eyebrows and laughed mockingly. Sorry, I like to have my green dragon follow me. I don't feel safe without it. After all, I'm only a 3rd-level Yuan venerate. I'm pitiful, weak, and helpless. Besides being handsome, I have nothing. Lin Chen's words seemed like a joke. However, they were actually soft and firm, which made the two elders' expressions change slightly. In the end, Lin Chen whistled and the 10,000-year black-green dragon's size increased by 30%. This action was basically telling the Ning clan that Lin Chen had no intention of following their rules when he came to propose marriage. The main hall of the Ning clan stood on top of the Cloud Mountain. The 10,000-year black-green dragon landed on the peak of the Cloud Mountain. Lin Chen walked into the main hall of the Cloud Mountain with everyone following closely behind. The main hall was quiet and sparsely populated. Clearly, they had been dismissed. Only 5 elders and a middle-aged man in green robes were left. Hee. What a rare guest. The legendary 4-time champion of the Heavenly Spirit List meet Lin Chen. What brings you to the Ning clan? The middle-aged man stood up and cupped his fists with a smile. However, the 5 elders in the main hall didn't move at all. Tisk, it's just 5 half-step combat emperors. What are they putting on airs for? Meng Qianma muttered to herself in disdain. 2 of the elders suddenly opened their eyes and a glint flashed across their eyes. Where did this little kid come from? How dare he be so rude? Great Aunt Meng Qianma, why don't you come out and fight if you don't like it? Just don't say that I bullied the elders after this. Meng Qianma also had a bad temper. She waved her fists and laughed disdainfully. She was once the only purple merit warrior of her generation in the Heavenly Song Academy. Even though she was only at the peak of the 9th level of the Yuan Venerate realm, she wasn't afraid of facing a half-step combat emperor. So it's Miss Meng Qianma. Please don't take offense. The elders of the Ning clan have been in seclusion for many years, and their eccentricity has become a habit. Please forgive them. The man in green robes nodded slightly and smiled politely. Meng Qianma didn't push her luck. Instead, she sized up the man in front of her seriously. He was the current head of the Ning clan, Ning Yuntian. He was a genuine combat emperor. This person was already a peerless genius in the spiritual state thousands of years ago. In order to step into the War Emperor realm, one must have the boldness to destroy both jade and common stone. Back then, the head of the Ning family dared to shatter 9 battle-chi natal palaces at a young age. When he was in his prime, He dared to carry out the self-destructive cultivation and breakthrough. He dared to fight for that 1 in 1,000 chance of success. Just this boldness alone was admirable. My knowledge is shallow. May I know who this lady is? Ning Yuntian cupped his fists at the vice principal. He couldn't detect the background and cultivation of this lady. It was as if she was just a mortal standing there quietly. However, as a combat emperor, he couldn't detect the background of this person. This showed how terrifying this lady's background was. You must be the head of the Ning clan, right? This is the vice principal of our academy. When she heard that I was here to propose marriage, she came over to check with me. She also thought that the Ning clan scenery is unique, and she hopes to see it again next time. Lin Chen cupped his fists in a manner that was neither servile nor overbearing. The corners of his lips curled up as he emphasized the words hope and next time. The vice principal of the Sky Song Academy? This title made the 5 half-step combat emperors stand up in shock. It wasn't an exaggeration to say that this kind of person was unparalleled in the 9 states. She actually came to the Ning clan personally? Ning Yuntian's hands trembled a few times and his pupils quivered. He nodded and smiled. So it's the vice principal who came personally. Yuntian is blind. I will immediately arrange a banquet of the highest level to entertain all of you. Chapter 455. Let's put the banquet aside for now. Master Ning, I don't like to beat around the bush. I'll just say one thing. I'm here to propose marriage to Miss Ning Qingxian of your Ning family. I hope that Master Ning can fulfill my wish. Of course, I've already prepared the betrothal gift. It's on the back of the azure dragon outside. Lin Chen's request made Ning Yuntian frown, but he still smiled. Well, Ning Qingxian is a little special. It's not convenient for her to accept any marriage request. How about Lin Chen change it? With your identity and potential, any saintess of the Ning family can accept your request except for Ning Qingxian. What if I say I want her? Lin Chen smiled innocently. The whole hall fell into a dead silence. The atmosphere in the hall faintly felt like a crossbow was about to break out. Ning family, Clear Moon Palace. Sister. He's here. Lin Chen actually came to our Ning family. In the palace, the little girl in the green veil jumped up and down, shouting excitedly. Another beauty in the palace who was still in the state of cultivation slowly opened her eyes. Her eyes, which had no spiritual aura before, were filled with ripples and fluctuations. He's here? Ning Qingxian suddenly stood up. Her green eyes became extremely clear and pure, like a child chasing a red dragonfly, yearning for the blue sea and the blue sky. I'm going to find him. I'm going to find him. Ning Qingxian ran out of the palace like crazy. When she was about to fly into the sky, a shadow appeared and blocked her way. Miss Ning Qingxian, where are you going? It was a rather handsome young man in red. He had phoenix eyes, sword-like eyebrows, and a jade-like face with delicate facial features. I'm going to find him. Ning Qingxian clenched her teeth and moved lightly. Using her body movement, she rushed towards the hall of the Ning family. The red-clothed young man clenched his fist and 3 battle aura halos appeared out of thin air, binding Ning Qingxian tightly. You only belong to the Supreme God, and no one can touch you. You must offer it to the gods in its entirety. Other than that, I will help you get rid of any difficulties. The red-clothed youth was expressionless. With a wave of his hand, Ning Qingxian was knocked back into the palace. No. Ning Qingxuan's eyes glistened with tears. She struggled with all her might to escape, but she was trapped within the palace. It seems that something unexpected has happened. It seems that I have to go and take a look myself. The red-clothed young man stood with his sword on his back. He took a step forward and turned into a wisp of smoke, flying towards the hall. In the hall, the atmosphere was tense, and the pressure was unusually heavy. I'm afraid that won't do. Ning Yuntian shook his head in denial. Although his tone was not harsh, his stance was very firm. In other words, we have nothing to talk about, right? With the 5 dragons' imperial spear in his hand, Lin Chen's lips curved into a cold smile. His action startled the 5 half-step combat emperors and the 3 higher-ups of the Heavenly Song Academy. Facing the head of the Ning family, he showed no fear and directly showed his claws and teeth. This had nothing to do with the vice principal. He was like a lone wolf who had walked into a dead end. He dared to bite off a piece of meat from anyone who came to him. He had made up his mind. No matter what, he would bring Ning Qingxian with him today. Meng Qianma and the other 3 higher-ups immediately protected everyone and Lin Chen. The vice principal slowly stepped forward, her beautiful eyes flashing with a hint of coldness. With her strength, she dared not say that she could destroy all the combat emperors of the Ning family and their hundreds of thousands of years of accumulation. However, if she wanted to turn this place upside down and try to take away a girl, there was a high chance that she could do it. For Lin Chen, the vice principal would even go to war with the Ning family. Because Lin Chen was in the history of the Heavenly Song Academy. He was also the last proof that she had guarded the academy for so many years. Propose marriage? Just because of a lowly mortal like you? A cold sneer came from outside the hall. A red-clothed young man with a sword on his back slowly walked into the hall. Lord Ling, you are here. When the 5 half-step combat emperors saw the young man, they immediately stood up and bowed respectfully to welcome him. Lord. Ning Yuntian cupped his fist. Just as he was about to speak, the young man raised his hand. Mortal, don't think that you can cause trouble here just because you brought a slightly stronger combat emperor. No matter how strong a combat emperor is, he is like an ant in front of a god, the red-clothed young man said arrogantly. Lin Chen raised his eyebrows and sneered. What? From your tone, why do you sound like you're a god? Of course I am not a god, but I am the servant of the Lord God, Ling Yushi. I was fortunate enough to meet a god. A mortal like you who doesn't respect the god is a cancer to the human race in the 9 continents. Clang! The sword was unsheathed and the wind howled. The wind howled and the sword energy soared into the sky. Lin Chen sneered in his heart. In the memories he saw in the Heavenly Spirit Battle Pagoda, the so-called god regarded those who didn't worship the god as abnormal and malignant tumors. However, Lin Chen at least knew that the guardians of the 9 continents were not the so-called god, but the 100 saints of the human race. Without the protection of the 100 saints, the 9 continents would have fallen into the hands of the demon race. I only need 1 move to deal with an ant like you. If you can take 1 move from me, I will no longer care about Miss Ning Qingxian, the red-clothed young man said indifferently. The sword in his hand, spirit illusion, emitted a faint light. This person's cultivation level was actually at the late stage of the 7th level. Judging from his age, he was at most 300 years old, but he had already reached the late stage of the 7th level of the Yuan Venerate realm. This talent and cultivation level might not be unprecedented in the history of the spirit state, but it was at least at a level that could be recorded in the history books. His late stage of the 7th level was completely different from Yun Songhai, who Lin Chen had fought in the 4-minister pavilion. This person's cultivation technique should be at the purple level, and the pressure he gave Lin Chen had completely surpassed that of Yun Songhai and the Battle Pagoda puppet. However, Lin Chen already had 8 types of tribulation battle bodies, and his cultivation level had officially reached the early stage of the 3rd level. He had a strong foundation and dared to fight with an early stage of the 8th level of the Yuan Venerate realm. Are you proud to be a dog of the so-called god? Lin Chen gripped the 5 dragons' imperial spear tightly and stepped forward. His silver robe billowed as the 2 of them stared at each other. Mortals are ants, but a god's servant is much stronger than an ant. Even being a dog of a god is a blessing cultivated by 8 lifetimes. Chen Lingxi glanced at Lin Chen disdainfully and continued, How about it? If you don't dare to accept, Then take your men and scram immediately. Don't mention Miss Ning Qingxian again. The upper echelons of the Ning family were basically on the side of Chun Lingxi, the god's servant. Lin Chen's talent was outstanding, but no matter how outstanding he was, who could guarantee that he could really step into the War Emperor realm, where he had to face death to have a chance of survival? Even if he stepped into the War Emperor realm, what about the Saint realm? Above the Saint realm was the God realm. Even if Lin Chen became a saint, he could not be compared to a god. Therefore, the answer was obvious. No matter what Lin Chen's attitude was today, the Ning family would not give up this opportunity to curry favor with a god, let alone offend a god. One move it is. If you can still stand after one move, I will do a handstand. Chapter 456. The Ning Family's 100 Mystery Arena. Usually, only the highest level of Heaven's Pride tournament was open to the public today. The Ning family was in an uproar as countless people gathered around the 100 Mystery Arena to watch. He's Lin Chen? Oh my god, he's even younger than the rumors. I heard that he came to propose marriage today? Who is he proposing marriage to? It can't be me, right? You? You're dreaming. He's here to look for Miss Ning Qingxian. Ning Qingxian? No wonder he's fighting with the servant of God. I wonder who will win this battle. The younger generation of the Ning family had gathered here, all of them discussing heatedly. This battle was thousands of times more exciting than any other battle between the Ning family's geniuses. One of them was a peerless genius from the spirit state. He was an alchemist who knew everything. He was the only person who won 4 consecutive championships in the Heavenly Spirit Ranking Tournament. He was also the only person who reached the 9th level of the Heavenly Spirit Battle Tower. The other was an extremely mysterious servant of a deity. He was a peerless genius who was stationed in the Ning family to wait for Ning Qingxian. It was said that he was sent over from the divine prefecture. His cultivation and talent made even the high-level elders fear him. What would the result be if the two of them fought? Everyone knew what kind of existence a god was. A person who could become a servant of God wouldn't have high-level technique. At least, purple-level techniques wouldn't be too rare for them. Even some of the elders who were usually in closed-door training came out because of this. Among them, there were a few Grand Elders who were at the Battle Emperor level who were secretly watching. Everyone from Class 66 sat on the other side of the 100 Mystery Arena, cheering for Lin Chen. The Vice Principal sat in the back row, facing the Battle Emperor level high-level elders of the Ning family. She had already seen through Lin Chen's murderous intent earlier. According to his character, this so-called move had already triggered his murderous intent. This was no longer a matter of victory or defeat, but of life and death. Once the Ning family detected any abnormalities, they would definitely take action immediately. Qing Yuan, it would be great if you could be here. Perhaps you would be able to witness our academy's students defeat the servants of those fake gods with your own eyes. There was a momentary trance in the vice president's eyes, and then a gratified smile appeared on his face. The 100 Mystical Arena was surrounded by spatial barriers and isolated from the outside world. The manifold profound azure dragon turned into a beam of dragon light and entered Lin Chen's body. He had used 50 points of intermediate rune energy, and half of his battle force had been drawn out. A shadow clone appeared beside him. Oh. Is this the doppelganger technique that you're so proud of? It does have some tricks up its sleeve. Chun Lingxi was slightly surprised. The moment Lin Chen's illusion doppelganger appeared, he slowly bent down and drew his saber. Although there was no saber in his hand, for some unknown reason, a peerless sharpness began to faintly brew within him. 5 transformations. Lin Chen unleashed the 5 transformations of the Azura 9 Brilliance transformation in one breath. His aura stopped at the 5th level Yuan Venerate realm, and his 5th illusory battle force natal palace was already 4/5 formed. He was just a step away from entering the initial 5th level. Lin Chen's doppelganger also received the boost of the 5 transformations, and its cultivation rose to the peak of the 4th level. However, Lin Chen swallowed a mid-grade Tier 6 purple spirit source gathering elixir and frantically circulated his cultivation technique to absorb the spirit qi. His talent points were depleted by 2,000 points. Ultimate moment. This time, Lin Chen and his doppelganger were surrounded by a faint green glow. He had even used the ultimate moment on his doppelganger. This time, Lin Chen and his doppelganger used the ultimate moment at the same time. Since the other party wanted to go all out, Lin Chen would use his full strength in this move. What a terrifying consumption of battle force. If I use this battle technique at full strength, my battle force will be depleted within a few moves, let alone 2 minutes. I still have to rely on elixirs to barely keep up with the consumption. Lin Chen was secretly shocked. Although the trump card, the ultimate moment, was strong, the consumption of battle force was too shocking. The doppelganger's doppelganger also consumed a huge amount of battle force. Using these 2 moves together, even the 9 calamities of creation would not be able to handle it. Rumble. A scroll of sword qi rolled out from the top of Chen Lingxi's head, and as it spread out, there were actually a myriad of strands of sword qi surging in the sky. They converged into numerous rivers of sword qi, and they emanated a sword move that covered the sky and covered the moon. The sword aura divided the crystal walls of space, splitting heaven and earth. It was as if the shocking sword qi of the primordial era was brewing in the river of stars. The entire 100 mystery arena was on the verge of collapse. Who would have thought that this so-called agreement of one move would actually make these 2 reveal their full strength? Chen Lingxi had already sensed Lin Chen's extraordinariness midway. At first, he was disdainful, then astonished, and finally solemn. He had already completely regarded Lin Chen as an opponent on the same level. He could not be careless. The quasi-grade 7 sword, Extreme Spirit Illusion Fault, was like a vortex, gathering all the sword aura above his head. Tens of thousands of sword qi surged, condensing into the sword. Sword Falling Galaxy, Extreme Day. Chen Lingxi suddenly shouted coldly, raising the Extreme Spirit Illusion Fault with both hands and chopping down vertically. Sword Cutting the Void, Sudden Descent of the Galaxy. In this world, an extremely bright aurora of day seemed to appear from the void. It was like a rotating crescent moon, furiously chopping down, illuminating the entire sky. Die for me. Lin Chen's shoulders suddenly shook, and his aura soared into the sky. The 8 heavenly tribulation battle bodies were all activated, and his aura looked down on the world. Brilliant Demon worships the heavens. The brilliant demon, who had transformed into dark flames, appeared in the world again. His hands furiously stabbed out, and the 5-colored dragon light condensed into a blazing dark spear light that spun and stabbed out. At this moment, Lin Chen's rune energy showed an unprecedented drop. It actually decreased by 1,000 points in one breath. Charge, Penetration, Slow, and Illusion rune. The 4 trump card runes were activated at the same time. The moment the dark flames spinning spear light storm was about to collide with the sword light of day, Chen Lingxi's pupils trembled with fear. He clearly saw that the moment Lin Chen's main body stabbed out, his illusion doppelganger swung his saber. 10,000 soul slash. The saber was unsheathed, and it was like an eternal night had descended. It was faint and dark, as if it wanted to silently annihilate everything in the world. The saber cut through the void, and the saber mark left behind was like the reincarnation of the night. He could not be wrong about this saber strike. It was even more impossible for him to forget. It's young Master Hun Mabai's Eternal Night Saber and Soul Slaying Slash. How could young Master Hun Mabai's saber technique and saber be on this brat? Just as he was filled with doubts, Lin Chen's 10,000 soul slash and brilliant demon worships the heavens surged forward. It shook the clouds and created a purple-black energy storm, and the explosion wreaked havoc on the entire stage. No, not good. My sword technique can't withstand his attack. Just as Chun Lingxi was shocked and panicked, his entire body's battle aura surged, and a spatial jade slip flashed out of his spirit storage ring. He wanted to activate the spatial jade slip to escape from the void, but a gray talisman shot out. The space within 10,000 feet of Chun Lingxi became stagnant, and even the flow of spirit energy became as slow as a turtle. The threat of death quietly gripped Chun Lingxi's heart. Chapter 457. The dark flame spear light destroyed the Star River Sword Chi, and the Sword Chi's remaining charm was cut into nothingness by the dark saber mark. The saber mark faced Chun Lingxi, who was suppressed by the slowing rune, and disappeared in a flash, annihilating all things in silence. Chun Lingxi's neck, head, and whole body were covered with faint black cracks. The moment before the two's battle skills collided, all the battle emperors in the arena could see the difference between 1 and 4. The two battle emperors of the Ning family and Ning Yuntian wanted to force their way into the arena and protect Chun Lingxi. However, other than the space enchantment set up by the Ning family, there was also a mysterious space distortion that suppressed all the battle emperors who wanted to enter the arena. "Is it you, Vice Principal of the Heavenly Song Academy?" Ning Yuntian frowned and turned to look at the Vice Principal. At this moment, she had a faint smile on her face. If Chun Lingxi died here, the Ning family would be in trouble. Inside the void arena, the speed at which Lin Chen's doppelganger unsheathed his blade was extremely fast. Other than a few combat emperors, no one noticed his eternal night battle blade. Those who had the ability to notice it were all focused on Chun Lingxi. When the blade marks covered Chun Lingxi's body, blood spurted out. Before he died, he was filled with disbelief and fear. How could a human possess such terrifying strength? What made him unable to rest in peace was why young Master Hun Mabai's blade appeared in the hands of this mortal. "Don't tell me," he made young Master. Before he could finish his words, Chun Lingxi's head was separated from his body. He died, and a large number of attribute light balls rolled out. Host has killed a strong enemy. A special reward system has been triggered. 1 purple crystal treasure chest has been obtained. A purple light pillar appeared out of nowhere, and a purple light-filled treasure chest was rotating inside the light pillar. All the battle emperors of the Ning family and below were filled with fear and disbelief. One move? One move was enough to determine life and death? And Lin Chen, as a mortal, actually killed Chun Lingxi, who was a servant of God. Lin Chen quickly removed the 5-layer transformation and ultimate moment. He was panting, but the excitement in his eyes couldn't be suppressed. The previous move could already be considered Lin Chen's full strength. 9 brilliance transformations, 5 transformations, 2 ultimate moments, penetration, delay, charge, and phantom runes. He also used the 2 purple tier battle skills, the Eternal Night Saber and the 5 Dragons Imperial Spear. Chun Lingxi's escape was sealed by the rune of deceleration before he died. With his foundation and battle chi, it was impossible for him to withstand 20% of the penetrative power of the brilliant demon worships the heavens, as well as the power of the 10,000 souls slash, which was almost perfectly preserved by his clone. Instant kill. There was no doubt that no one below the 8th level of the Yuan Venerate realm could withstand Lin Chen's ultimate moment head-on. Even an 8th level Yuan Venerate might pay a fatal price. Even a late-stage 8th level Yuan Venerate elder looked at Lin Chen with a hint of fear in his eyes. This kid's strength was too dangerous. Many members of the Ning family felt their scalps go numb when they thought about how this young man was only 20 years old. No wonder this person could become a person who changed the history of the spiritual state. He deserved his reputation. Forget it. We'll just push Qin Lingxi's matter to the Sky Song Academy and Lin Chen in the future. The problem is how to get these people to leave. The deputy dean doesn't seem to have any intention of changing her stance. Doesn't she know the consequences of offending a deity? Ning Yuntian gritted his teeth. The deputy dean's attitude was the most important thing. Once she got angry, the entire Ning family would have to use all their resources to stop her. Lin Chen put away the Eternal Night Saber at lightning speed and picked up all the attribute light balls and treasure chests. Host has received 2,320 Battle Chi Essence, 2 points of Mind Power, 900 points of Blood Essence, 100 points of Cultivation Technique Soul Essence, 500 points of Heaven Path Value, 400 points of Talent Points. Host has received a special attribute Light Ball. After absorbing it, Host will receive a low-level purple-level Cultivation Technique, Myriad Star Sword Technique. The Battle Chi Essence from killing Qin Lingxi had improved Lin Chen's cultivation slightly. However, he had not broken through yet. The accumulation required to break through to the 3rd level Yuan Venerate realm was far greater than when he was at the 2nd level. When Lin Chen took Qin Lingxi's Spirit Receiving Ring and Spirit Illusion Sword and opened the purple crystal treasure chest, he was completely stunned. Host has opened the purple crystal treasure chest. Host has received a talent fragment, God Slayer Fragment 3/3. The God Slayer talent fragment has been collected. It has been automatically integrated into a complete talent and has been stored in the talent column. Please check behind you. The integration of the God Slayer talent was completed? The last God Slayer fragment was in his hands. This was the weakest talent in the history of the system update. However, as long as the conditions were met, it could be the strongest active talent. I actually got the God Slayer talent. Damn it. Ha ha ha. Ning family, it seems like I have no choice but to leave with Qing Xian this time. If all the powerhouses of the Ning family are alarmed and I activate the God Slayer and join forces with the Deputy Dean, let's see who in the Ning family will be able to stop me. When the complete version of the God Slayer talent was recorded in his mind and spiritual memory, Lin Chen's heart was in turmoil. His eyes were blooming with an even more domineering and invincible lofty flame. The calculation method of the God Slayer talent was based on the number and quality of the enemies. One enemy could increase the host's strength by 1-fold. If the enemy's cultivation base was higher than the host's by more than 2 cultivation bases, the actual cultivation base would be used to calculate the increase in strength. If there were 3 enemies, the host's combat strength would increase by 6 times. If there were 10 enemies, the host's strength would increase by 50 times. If there were 50 enemies, the host's strength would increase by 600 times. The more enemies the host had, the more heaven-defying the host's cultivation base would be. This was only the increase in numbers. If there was a huge gap between the host's and the enemy's cultivation base, the host's strength would also increase by a considerable amount. An unprecedented sense of pride surged in Lin Chen's heart. He suppressed the ecstasy in his heart and spoke slowly as he looked at Ning Yuntian. Now that the number 1 hindrance is gone, Ning family head, I will ask you one last time. Are you going to hand him over or not? Lin Chen looked at Ning Yuntian with a calm and deep gaze. His tone was even more steady and reserved. In a way, Lin Chen could threaten a late-stage 9th-level Yuan Venerate in a one-on-one fight. However, in a group fight, he wasn't even afraid of a war emperor now. Lin Chen might not be able to defeat a late-stage 9th-level Yuan Venerate, but if he were to face a group of late-stage 9th-level Yuan Venerates, he would beat them all to death. From this kid's expression, I can see that he has a faint desire to fight me? What's going on? This is completely different from before. Ning Yuntian was shocked. Lin Chen's calm gaze no longer showed signs of going berserk like before. Instead, it was more of a change in his state of mind. This change couldn't have come so suddenly. He definitely had something to rely on. It seems like this kid has had a new fortuitous encounter. The deputy dean was meticulous and meticulous. He naturally noticed the change in Lin Chen's state of mind and couldn't help but sigh. Lin Chen no longer used the excuse of a marriage proposal. He had already gotten straight to the point and asked Ning Yuntian to hand him over. His stance was very clear. If Ning Yuntian didn't hand him over, he would fight. The expressions of the Ning family elites instantly became solemn. Hundreds of Yuan venerates floated in the air, and more than 20 of them were 8th-level Yuan venerates. Chapter 458. While Lin Chen was stirring up a storm in the Ning family, on the other side, the Yen family was experiencing an even more horrifying change. Tens of thousands of miles away from the Ning family, at the border of the spiritual state, there was an empty space crystal wall, and inside it was an independent space plane. The spiritual energy was dense, and the vast spiritual mountains were covered by clouds and mist. The pavilions were like palaces in the sky, and it was as beautiful as a fairyland. This was the space plane created by the Yen family, and it was the exclusive space territory of the Yen family. Boom! Suddenly, blood clouds rolled in the spiritual mountains, and blood thunder filled the sky. It was as if a catastrophe was coming. All the masters of the Yen family woke up from their secluded cultivation. What's going on? Is this the sign of death? Did a master of the Yen family die? The heaven and earth trembled and blood rain fell. This is the sign of the death of a battle emperor. Many masters came out of their secluded cultivation and gathered in the 1,000 calculation pavilion of the Yen family. Many masters gathered in the pavilion, and some of them were battle emperors. It's Elder Yen Ming. He passed away on the star platform. Elder Yen Ming died from overexertion. He died. He only left a note before he died. At this moment, 2 figures came in through the door, and one of them was Yen Qianyun. What note? Take it out, some masters urged. Yen Qianyun opened the note in her hand, and there were only a few incomplete words written in blood. The catastrophe is ahead of schedule. 20 years turned into 2 days. 2 days later, the Yen family will be annihilated. We must migrate. The only way to protect ourselves is the Heavenly Song Academy. Seeing the words on the note, all the masters in the hall were shocked. This is more than 20 years earlier than the predetermined time of the catastrophe? Did that thing come out so soon? Migration? How can we migrate like this? How can the heritage of our Yen family be transferred in 2 days? This is a matter of king life and death. Why are you guys still thinking about such nonsense? You know nothing. Those are the inheritances of the fortune tellers left by our ancestors, and our clan is the only one left in the spiritual state. If they are destroyed here, we will have no descendants. The experts in the hall immediately fell into chaos. This news came too suddenly, and no one was prepared to deal with it. Enough. What hasn't my Yen family experienced before? Look at your current appearances. Do you still look like the ancient families of the past? At this moment, the 2 old men sitting at the head of the hall berated, and the entire hall fell silent. Qianyun, what do you think? One of the green-robed old men asked while stroking his beard. His gaze shifted to Yen Qianyun. Yen Qianyun's expression was solemn when she sensed the gazes of the many elders and elders in the hall. Use 2 hours to bring away the inheritance of the Yen family. Bring as much as you can. At the same time, the Battle Emperor level elders will be responsible for the transfer of the people. If you can't bring anything with you, destroy it and don't leave it to the enemy. Our opponent this time is unimaginable. We must be prepared to give up everything. Destroy our Yen family's guardian formation as well. Yen Qianyun's words were shocking. Before the experts could object, the 2 old men in the hall immediately said in a deep voice, "From now on, follow Qianyun's instructions. Anyone who disobeys will be blocking the last hope of the Yen family's survival." Logically speaking, those who violate the Yen family's rules will be punished with the highest punishment. This old man will personally execute the punishment on the spot. Once the two old men's orders were given, many of the Yen family's experts gritted their teeth and turned into streams of light to teleport away. At the same time, in the 100 Mystery Arena of the Ning family, Lin Chen, the Ning family welcomes you as a friend. However, the Ning family is also not afraid of you as an enemy. Even if you have the protection of the Deputy Dean of the Heavenly Song Academy, it doesn't mean that you can do whatever you want in the Ning family. Ning Yuntian finally tore off his gentlemanly disguise. His expression was cold and indifferent. The battle chi in his palm was already aimed at Lin Chen. Today, unless the Dean of the Heavenly Song Academy comes personally, no one can take away Ning Qingxian. 2 streams of light streaked across the sky. It was another 2 Battle Emperor level powerhouses of the Ning family. Seeing the figures floating in the sky, everyone in Class 66 was shocked and dignified. This was the foundation of an ancient family. Normally, the Supreme Battle Emperors would appear one after another, and there were more than 100 Yuan venerates. It seems that we have nothing to talk about. Lin Chen's eyes flashed coldly. Just as he was about to go all out, a woman's shout stopped Lin Chen. Lin Chen, don't! Everyone turned around and saw that it was Ning Qingxian. Ever since Lin Chen killed Chen Lingxi with one move, the battle chi seal he left in the palace had disappeared. Why are you so silly? Didn't I tell you not to interfere in my business? Ning Qingxian hurriedly stepped into the air and flew to the 100 Mystery Arena. Although she was touched, she was more worried. I never change my mind easily. I came here this time only to take you away. Lin Chen grabbed Ning Qingshuan's fair arm with a serious expression. The Battle Emperor level elder wanted to take action but was temporarily stopped by Ning Yuntian. Hearing Lin Chen's reply, Ning Qingshuan's heart warmed and her tone was gentle. Chapter 459. Hearing that Lin Chen was about to leave, Ning Yuntian heaved a sigh of relief. It would be best if they didn't fight. If they did, the Ning family would suffer the most. Gazing at the direction where Lin Chen and the others left, the elders were angry, but they didn't dare to say anything. This kid killed the servant of God stationed in the Ning family, and he could still leave safely. Looking at the backs of Lin Chen and the others, a few battle emperors shook their heads and sighed. It must be Qing Xian who convinced him. It must be. It seems that controlling Ning Qingshuan's parents and other family members was a wise choice. This child is too smart, but there is a kind of naivety in her bones. It is hard to be ruthless. Although controlling her with her family members wasn't a good plan, the effect was the most direct. Sacrificing one Ning Qingxian in exchange for the whole Ning family ascending is completely worth it. Compensating her family afterwards shouldn't be a big problem. What a terrifying young man. In time, he might really reach the height of our Ning family's ancestor. Even if he has the power of our ancestor, it is nothing in front of the gods. Outside the Thousand Suns mountain range, the group was flying in the air. The atmosphere wasn't good. After all, they couldn't take Ning Qingxian away. Thinking that she would have to stay in that kind of environment that couldn't be considered human made everyone feel uncomfortable. Suddenly, the vice principal's delicate hand flashed. She was holding a space jade slip that was flashing with light. Her eyebrows were slightly knitted. It seems that there is an urgent matter at the institute. I have to return to the institute first. Do you want to leave with me? Lin Chen and the others looked at each other, then smiled and said, "This place is quite close to the Han clan. I plan to make a trip to the Han clan first before going back. Taking the best alchemy handprint from their clan for no reason, I don't want to owe them anything. In that case, the 3 of you will follow this group of little guys," the vice principal told Meng Qianma and the other 2 higher up. Her beautiful figure trembled slightly, then turned into a stream of light and disappeared into the void. With Han Xiun and Han Yizhi leading the way, Lin Chen's group headed to the Han residence first. At this moment, an unprecedented change quietly unfolded, and the history of the spiritual state turned to a new page. One day later, a large-scale battle broke out in the northwest area of the spiritual state without any warning, and countless lives were lost. Within the ancient Yi family, a large number of experts were fighting amongst themselves. However, they were quickly suppressed by one side. Apart from this, there were also some hidden old monsters who noticed traces of the Bai clan in the Yi clan's territory. It was extremely strange. North Region, Ling family territory. Rumble. Numerous mountain ranges were flattened by the battle chi that flashed past in an instant. A battle emperor of the Ling family was shaken to the point of spitting out blood and retreating, his eyes filled with disbelief. Sky Dragon, Mingwei, are you two old fellows crazy? You actually helped the Bai family attack me? Two majestic silhouettes appeared in the air. They were also combat emperors. Ha! We are not working for the Bai family. We are working for the great new god. The two combat emperors laughed wildly. Their laughter shook the wind and thunder, and the clouds within hundreds of thousands of miles changed color. The people were so shocked that they could only crawl on the ground and tremble, thinking that a large-scale disaster was about to befall the world. Those respected Yuan venerables trembled in fear and didn't dare to act rashly. They didn't even dare to fly to the outside world to see what was going on. Damn it, I want to see what kind of *T this new god is. The battle emperor's shoulders shook as battle chi filled the air and turned into a rolling river in his palm. He was about to fight again when he suddenly froze on the spot. High up in the sky, at the top of the clouds, 16 figures appeared faintly. Every single figure that stepped forward was like a primordial being that covered the heavens and the earth, and it shook the space to the point of ceaselessly shaking and tearing apart. Even the heavens and earth were trembling. The person in the lead fluttered like an immortal as she slowly descended. Strong winds danced as her veil fluttered in the wind. She was as beautiful as a profound immortal that had descended to the mortal world. The beautiful woman's jade-green eyes flickered as her pupils flashed with the flames of creation and destruction. 15 battle emperors? The battle emperor of the Ling family sucked in a breath of cold air. In the entire spiritual state, there were no more than 3 ancient families that could bring out such a lineup. Rumble, rumble. The 15 battle emperors above the clouds attacked at the same time. Their battle chi merged into one as if it was connected to the heavens and earth. Their palms pressed down together, crushing the void and shattering the heaven and earth. An earth-shattering battle chi reversed and suppressed the battle emperor of the Ling family, causing him to bleed from his 7 orifices. His eyes almost popped out of his eye socket. His palms turned into crystal-like battle chi and pushed forward, shattering the void within thousands of miles. He was fighting back against the 15 battle emperors with his own strength. You are really tenacious. But die. The other 2 battle emperors of the Ling family sneered. They put their palms together and their fingertips turned into a sword that could split the heaven and earth, cutting off the battle emperor's attack. The moment his attack was cut off, the battle emperor of the Ling family was killed by the combined attacks of the 15 battle emperors and exploded into a cloud of blood mist. Woo woo woo, the chilly wind filled the sky and the blood clouds rolled. Endless blood rain fell from the sky and the blood clouds covered thousands of miles. Countless mournful cries could be heard from the heavens and earth. This represented the fall of an emperor. My lord, the Ling family has been suppressed. The other 2 battle emperors of the Ling family turned around and cupped their fists respectfully. Yes, with our current strength, we can take down the Lung family and the Xie family along the way. I think we should be able to eliminate one of our biggest threats, the Yen family. The beauty in the white dress smiled faintly. She flicked her sleeves and asked, other than the Yen family, which other forces have not absorbed my seed? One of the battle emperors hesitated for a moment before cupping his fists and saying, "My lord, even the powerful Heavenly Song Academy has absorbed your seed. If we really want to count, there is only the Han family left. However, the Han family is no longer an ancient family. They have not touched the sacred flame for tens of thousands of years. Perhaps there is still a battle emperor and a few Yuan venerables in the family. If the entire family has not absorbed the sacred flame seed, they will not be able to coordinate with the outside. This is a bit tricky. By you will personally lead a team of 100 Yuan venerables and destroy the Han family. After that, we will gather our strength and destroy the Yen family. After that, we will gather at the Heavenly Song Academy and unify the spiritual state," the beauty in the white dress said coldly. One of the battle emperors immediately knelt on one knee and cupped his fists to accept the order. More than 10 battle emperors followed the beauty in the white dress and headed towards the Yen family. What was even more frightening was that after the battle emperors, thousands of Yuan venerables appeared in the Ling family and suppressed all the forces of the Ling family. If there was anyone who resisted, they would be killed on the spot. An unprecedented storm began to sweep across the entire spiritual state like a plague since the ancient times. Almost 90% of the ancient families were not spared and were involved in this unprecedented storm. At this moment, the blood clouds of the fallen emperors began to spread across the spiritual state. The entire spiritual state was plunged into fear and despair at an unimaginable speed. Chapter 460. One day ago, before the spiritual state was in chaos, at the Han family after Lin Chun arrived at the Han family, he changed the complicated process of many high-level elixir recipes for the Han family, making their elixir recipes simpler and easier to make. He even gave the Han family several precious level 6 elixir recipes that he had personally engraved. This was the style and value of an alchemy grandmaster. Even if he didn't make elixirs, Lin Chen's experience and knowledge were the value of an alchemy grandmaster. He only needed to teach others, pass on his experience, and change the elixir recipes, and many people would be obsessed with him. This was the value and power of an alchemy grandmaster. The reason why a level 6 alchemy grandmaster could enjoy the high-end treatment of ancient families was that even if they couldn't make rare level 7 elixirs on their own, they were qualified to assist level 7 alchemists. With the help of an assistant alchemist, the chances of making level 7 elixirs would increase. Without a doubt, with Lin Chen's current alchemy skills, he would be treated very well wherever he went in the 9 state. Inside the secret chamber of the Han family, Lin Chun closed the ancient book in his hand. With his current status, the Han family, he had long been the hope of the Han family, went to the Sutra Pavilion on the highest floor of the Han family and obtained many secrets of the past. Firstly, after the 9 states continent was divided into 9 continents, they were the blood state, underworld state, heaven state, spirit state, cloud state, Danzhou barren state, Ming state, and the godly land. The blood state was one of the most chaotic states, and it was full of killing and cruelty. Except for a few areas that lived in peace, it was full of killing and looting. Strength was king, and the law of the jungle was the law of the jungle. It was a state with the fewest human civilians. The underworld state had the most ancient ruins, and it was a paradise for netherworld explorers, but it was also a hell. The Han family, there was a record of an injured Saint Realm warrior hiding in the underworld state in ancient times. The heaven state was a place where martial arts inheritances flourished, second only to the godly land. It was the most peaceful place where emperors settled troubled times. The spirit state was the weakest in the 9 states, but the number of ancient families in the 9 states was second only to the godly land. It was said that some powerful ancient families had moved here. The Cloud province was popular in the 9 provinces, and it was one of the provinces with the most outstanding and most number of weapon forging masters. It was rich in all kinds of top-notch treasures and weapons, and it was a paradise for many large merchant groups that crossed provinces. The Pill province, as its name suggested, was a great province that had been passed down since the primeval times. It possessed many secret pill refinement inheritances and the best pill refinement hand seals in the 9 provinces. It was said that there were even 1 or 2 high-level purple rank pill refinement hand seals that had been passed down since the primeval times in the Pill province. The barren state was a paradise for ferocious beasts. The most terrifying and powerful ferocious beast forces existed in the 9 states continent. It used to be the great barren region of the 9 states continent. It was also the most vast of the 9 states continent. There were relatively few human forces there. The Ming prefecture was a large prefecture like the Sky prefecture. It was relatively peaceful and had the inheritance of ancient fortune-tellers. It was the only prefecture with many fortune-tellers. Fortune-tellers from the Ming prefecture would be treated as VIPs in the other 8 prefectures. The Divine prefecture was the central region of the 9 states continent. It was the most prosperous and top-notch existence in all aspects. It was also the only prefecture in the 9 provinces that had descendants of gods. The number of experts was several times that of the other prefectures, and there were many historical relics of the human race. The above was the information that Lin Chun obtained from the Han family. As a former top-notch ancient family in alchemy, the Han family's information was not even available in the Heavenly Song Academy. It seems that my strength is still far from enough to go to the Divine Prefecture. I have to hurry up and improve my strength. Lin Chun sat cross-legged, opened the system, and clicked on the fusion function. System, I want to fuse all the skills that I have now. The host has 17 top-notch blue rank battle skills, 5 half-purple rank battle skills, 2 incomplete purple rank battle skills, 1 low-level purple rank mental cultivation method. If all of them are fused, 9,000 Heaven's Path points will be consumed. The skills that come out of the fusion are completely random. Does the host confirm the fusion? Confirm. Boom ding. The crisp sound shook Lin Chen's spirit. A brand new skill was born, and the system's screen opened. Low-level purple rank supreme grade, support type skill, wood spirit essence skill, battle chi essence, vitality absorption, wood spirit essence, endless vitality, tenacious and indomitable. It can help the cultivator recover from injuries quickly. External injuries are secondary, and internal injuries are best. After reading a little about this skill, Lin Chun immediately glowed with a different spirit. What a powerful skill! I already have the true water origin scripture as a recovery technique. With the water calamity battle body, the true water origin scripture's recovery ability is still extremely strong, but its main use is to heal external injuries. However, this technique is mainly used to heal internal injuries, and it can also condense the inside of my body to become even tougher. When the time comes, I'll have 2 great skills, one external and one internal. The division of labor is clear, and I won't be tired, ha ha ha. Overjoyed, Lin Chun tapped on the system and consumed 780 intermediate technique soul essences to proceed with the inheritance of the technique. After his spiritual power reached the mid-level of Transcendence realm, Lin Chen's speed of inheriting the skill from the system became much faster. Lin Chen would never complain about having too many skills that could strengthen his vitality. Who would complain about having too many auxiliary skills that could save one's life? After a night, Lin Chen perfectly inherited the wood spirit essence skill. When he opened his eyes, there was a hint of green between his eyebrows. It was as if 10,000 trees were welcoming the warm day of spring, and they were reborn. Lin Chen's battle chi natal palace and internal organs were all covered with a layer of light green film that was overflowing with spring, protecting the inside of Lin Chen's body. This skill actually has a special effect. It can allow an old tree to be reborn after being broken, and it can erupt with a terrifying vitality to rebuild the body. In the face of danger, this skill could even give Lin Chen a certain opportunity. It was indeed a supreme grade skill among the low-level purple rank skills. This fusion was very worthwhile. In the courtyard of the Han family, Lin Chen left the secluded secret room. At this time, Meng Qianma and the others had been waiting for him for a long time. How is it? Have you finished what you wanted to do? We received an urgent message from the vice principal to bring you back to the academy immediately. Suddenly, Meng Qianma and the other two high-level elders said seriously, "What's going on?" Lin Chen was confused. "What's going on?" "I don't know, but from the reaction of the space jade slip, it should be a very urgent message. We have never seen the vice principal use this kind of space jade slip before." The three of them looked very serious. Lin Chen nodded. "Okay, then I'll go back first. Have you gathered everyone?" "Yes, they are all in the hall." Bang! An earth-shattering explosion reverberated throughout the Han family's territory. Both the Han family's elders and civilians looked around in shock. "Han family, your alchemy skills are still useful. Those who surrender will be spared. Those who resist die." Mixed with the energy fluctuation that enveloped the sky, the cold voice resounded throughout the Han family's territory. Chapter 461. 1-1. Following the cold shout was the sound of space being sealed. Within the Han family's territory, everything within a radius of hundreds of thousands of miles had been sealed. Not good. Powerhouses are attacking. Meng Qianma and the two elders were shocked. Lin Chen immediately flew into the sky with the other three following closely behind. High up in the sky, thousands of li away, a group of people slowly descended. From the looks of it, there were at least 150 of them. What's going on? Who dares to mobilize so many powerhouses to attack the Han family? More than 150 Yuan venerates. All of them are at least at the 5th level Yuan venerate, 30 of them are at the 8th level Yuan venerate, and 20 of them are at the 9th level Yuan venerate. Meng Qianma had a rare look of horror on his face. Even the Sky Song Academy would have to think twice before facing such a force. Something's not right. The space has been completely sealed. We can't get out. Lin Chen squinted his eyes. Using his purple-gold eyes, he saw that the space within the Han family had been completely sealed. Judging from the strength of the space boundary, it was not at the level of a Yuan venerate. It was at the War Emperor level. Only a War Emperor level powerhouse could achieve such a level of space sealing. Oh no, the space has been completely sealed. Even if we use the space jade slip, it will be useless. Meng Qianma's face was grave. This time, they might really be in big trouble. Who dares to offend the Han family? Do you really think there's no one in the Han family? Angry shouts echoed from all directions of the Han family. Streaks of battle aura shot into the sky and crossed the sky. Dozens of figures stepped into the sky. They were all Yuan venerate elders of the Han family. However, they paled in comparison to the 150 people in the sky. There were less than 4 9th-level Yuan venerates, and only 10 8th-level Yuan venerate. Most of them were at the 4th or lower Yuan venerate level. Big brother, what's going on? It seems like the Han family has been surrounded. Everyone from Class 66 flew into the sky. The Su sisters were worried. After all, the Han family still had some of the ancient family's foundations. Even ordinary ancient families would not dare to exterminate them. If the Han family retaliated, the price they would pay would not be small. Everyone, don't leave. Things don't seem to be as simple as they seem. Lin Chen had a solemn expression on his face. He had suddenly discovered that half of these Yuan venerates were from the Bai family. Other than that, when Lin Chen activated his Eyes of 9 Tribulations to spy on them, he discovered that all of these experts had one thing in common, and that was that they had all absorbed the seed of Saint Fire. The people who could be tempered by the seed of Holy Fire were at least at the level of Saint Sons and Saintesses. Even if they weren't, they would be elders with high positions in the spiritual state. To be able to gather people from different ancient families and launch such a meticulous attack, this was definitely not a coincidence. Is your Bai clan treating my Han clan like clay? Rumble. The old man's cold shout shattered the spatial crystal walls within thousands of miles. The Yuan venerates were forced to retreat again and again with grave expressions on their faces. A yellow-robed old man slowly stepped out of the shattered spatial crystal wall and stood in front of the many powerhouses of the Han family. His hands were clasped behind his back as he scanned every Yuan venerate present. Patriarch Han Shuzi has come out of seclusion. Welcome, Patriarch. Many elders knelt on one knee either on the ground or in the void. The yellow-robed old man raised his hand and looked into the dark void. Old fogey of the Bai clan, I have already shown myself. It's about time for you to show yourself. Cough, cough, cough. As expected, the Han family still has a war emperor after losing the seed of Saint Fire for so many years. What a troublesome family. A hoarse voice coughed a few times as an illusory figure holding a walking stick appeared out of thin air without any warning. It was as if he had always existed in that void. His two coughs caused some of the elders of the Han family with lower cultivation bases to feel their eardrums hurt. They were shocked by the strength of this old man. Old fogey Bai Yu, what is your Bai clan up to? Who gave you the guts to provoke a dispute between ancient families? Aren't you afraid of the Yen family's punishment? The Han family patriarch, Han Shuzi, questioned sternly. He. The Yen family? The Yen family can't even protect itself now. Under the Master's control, the entire spiritual state will be unified. You are just a mantis trying to stop a chariot. Bai Yu's hoarse voice made Han Shuzi's heart skip a beat. The Yen family had stood in the spiritual state for more than 100,000 years. Did the Bai clan have the power to touch the Yen family? Is there a big change in the outside world of the spiritual state? Just as Han Shuzi had this thought, Bai Yu flicked his finger, and a fiery light floated in the void, illuminating the entire Han family. It was the light of the Saint Fire. Well, no one has gotten the Saint Fire? Under the light of this fiery light, 3 people's bodies emitted light. They were Han Xiun, Han Yizhi, and Lin Chen. Among them, Lin Chen's light was dozens of times brighter than the other 2. The saint marks on their foreheads were even more dazzling, like the stars in the aurora. 9 saint marks? Bai Yu's old and withered eyes widened for the first time. When he stared at Lin Chen, he revealed a mouthful of yellow teeth and laughed eerily. I didn't expect to catch such a big fish. You're Lin Chen, the most famous person in the Heavenly Spirit List Conference, right? Strange, the 3 of you didn't receive the call of the Master's Saint Fire. After absorbing so many Saint Fire seeds, you can still maintain your sanity? Meng Qianma's petite body suddenly blocked in front of Lin Chen, and the other 2 high-level elders did the same. They knew very well what Lin Chen meant to the Heavenly Song Academy. Come here for this old man. If I offer your body to the Master, I'm sure this old man will be rewarded handsomely. Bai Yu's withered hand gently grasped the void, and a giant palm made of ghost energy covered the sky and covered the sun. With endless howling chilly winds, it suddenly grabbed at Lin Chen. Ancestral Master! Several grand elders cried out in alarm. Lin Chen was their savior, and they couldn't afford to make the slightest mistake. Han Shuzi flicked his sleeves and shattered the ghost energy palm. He shouted, with this old man here, don't even think about touching the young people of my Han family. Han Shuzi, since we dared to attack your Han family, we naturally have absolute confidence. At this moment, another icy cold voice slowly descended, causing the expressions of many top experts present to change drastically. Han Shuzi's gaze was fixed on the space behind Bai Yu, and his voice was trembling. Late 2nd level War Emperor? A green-robed figure slowly appeared with a sword on his back. His expression was cold and arrogant, and a disdainful sneer hung at the corner of his mouth. He scanned everyone present and finally fixed his gaze on Lin Chen. Feeling this person's gaze, Lin Chen's entire body faintly felt a piercing pain, as if 10,000 swords were pointing at him. Even if they were 10,000 miles away, they could still suppress him. 2 War Emperors. Chapter 462. 2 War Emperors, 1 late-stage, second-level War Emperor, and over 150 Yuan Venerate. They had an absolute advantage over the Han family. Despair and helplessness shrouded the hearts of every member of the Han family. They had finally seen a glimmer of hope for the Han family's revival, but they had actually suffered such a fatal blow. Could it be that the heavens really want the Han family to die? Even an expert of the second level of the War Emperor has appeared. Is the Han family really going to be unable to escape this calamity? Some Heaven Star Realm and Earth Fiend Realm members of the Han family knelt on the ground in despair. There was no doubt that they were going to die today. As long as a huge battle broke out, the aftermath of the battle would cover the entire Han family. Heaven Star Realm cultivators like them would have nowhere to run. Sir still thinks highly of you. After all, if a faction with a War Emperor who has yet to absorb the sacred flame gathers together, it will be quite troublesome. The green-robed man with a sword on his back sneered. He glanced at Lin Chen and shouted coldly, "It's you, you little bastard! How dare you kill my son, Bai Tianqi? Die!" The green-robed man gripped the void and thousands of sharp sword lights appeared out of thin air, shooting towards Lin Chen from all directions. Bang! 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 The sword pressure that could shatter the galaxy caused the 3 higher-ups guarding Lin Chen to retreat with heavy injuries. Han Shuzi was about to move, but Bai Yu immediately blocked his path and struck out with his palm. The surrounding void collapsed and Han Shuzi was forced to defend himself. Bai Yu smiled sinisterly. "Old man, your opponent is me. Don't think about getting distracted." Damn it! While Han Shuzi was blocking his attack, he could only watch as Lin Chen was grabbed by the green-robed man through the air. Class monitor. Big brother Lin Chen. Lin Lang. No. The beauties turned pale as they cried out in alarm. However, they could not stop the War Emperor's control. Lin Chen was grabbed and tied up on the spot, unable to move. The bones in his body creaked as they were squeezed, causing blood to flow from the corner of his mouth. "When I see a little bastard like you, I can't wait to make you beg for death." The green-robed swordsman's eyes almost popped out of their socket. Beside him, Bai Yu coldly shouted, "Don't play this kid to death." Since he was able to absorb the 9 holy fire seeds without being controlled, there must be a huge secret on him. If we can offer it to the Lord, the 2 of us might have a chance encounter. Lin Chen had been captured, and everyone's hearts were hanging in suspense at this moment. However, he was incomparably calm, and even forced himself to grin. "What? Your Bai family only has a little over 100 Yuan Venerates and 2 Battle Emperors. With this little bit of strength, our Heavenly Song Academy can annihilate you in a matter of minutes." Hearing this, the green-robed swordsman looked at Lin Chen with extreme disdain. "Haha, do you think that our Bai family will rely on this little bit of power to start a war? Your Heavenly Song Academy can't even protect itself when the time comes. After dealing with the Yen family, the next step will be your Heavenly Song Academy. Haha, I don't believe it. You probably rely on the wills inside the holy fire seeds to forcefully control other powerhouses." Lin Chen smiled strangely. The green-robed swordsman was slightly surprised and sneered. "You actually know? You do have some skills. No wonder you can do well in the spiritual state. If I offer you to the Lord, not only will you beg for death, but you will also be able to sacrifice my son's soul in heaven. If you have the guts, call more people over. Who do you think you can scare with this little bit of combat power? When my Heavenly Song Academy's army arrives, I'm afraid you won't be able to pay back." Lin Chen's fearless appearance made the green-robed swordsman look up to the sky and laugh, as if he had heard the funniest joke in the world. When he thought of how arrogant this kid was and how desperate he would be when he found out the truth, the green-robed swordsman couldn't help but feel excited and expectant. Ha ha, it seems like your brain has been flooded with water. Ling Qing and Ling Xiao are also nearby. Call them over and let us show you our strength. The green-robed swordsman, by Yunxing, crushed the spatial jade slip in his hand. A mysterious spatial fluctuation was transmitted out and flew towards the endless void. The Feng-Ju dual emperors of the Ling family, Ling Qing and Ling Xiao? You have even recruited the Ling family? Han Shuzi, who was in the middle of a fight, was shocked and lost his voice. All the members of the Han family felt their scalps tingle. Did they call 2 more combat emperors just because of Lin Chen? Crazy. Lin Chen must be crazy. The situation was already so serious, and he still wanted to add fuel to the fire? Should we kill them and self-detonate to see if we can save Lin Chen? What should we do? If 2 more combat emperors come, we won't even have a 1 in a million chance. The 2 higher-ups who were injured by Yunxing struggled to say. For Lin Chen, they were willing to self-detonate to get him back. Don't act rashly. The strength of a late second-level combat emperor is not to be underestimated. Moreover, the most important thing is that this little fellow seems to have a plan. Meng Qianmao wiped the blood off her red lips and raised her hand to stop them. I also think that our class monitor might have a plan. He never acts according to common sense. Everyone in Class 66 looked at each other with determination. Ling Yueqi unconsciously clenched her fist. Yun Manqing, who was beside her, held her hand. The 2 girls looked at each other and smiled encouragingly. Their beautiful eyes were fixed on Lin Chen. At this moment, a soft voice secretly entered Han Shuzi's ears. Senior Han Shuzi, please lead the Han family to surrender. Don't fight a meaningless battle. This voice transmission stunned Han Shuzi slightly. He glanced at Lin Chen in disbelief. Could a Yuan venerate like him have a way to turn the situation around? But the problem was, if he had a way, he should use it now. Should he wait for the other 2 combat emperors to arrive? Was there something wrong with his brain? Rumble. The surrounding battle qi rushed to the sky. The many Yuan venerate elders of the Han family were already prepared to fight to the death. If they waited for the other 4 combat emperors to arrive, they would not even have the chance to drag the enemy down with them. What should I do? Should I trust this kid? He has saved the Han family many times, and he is the champion of the Heavenly Spirit List tournament 4 times in a row. Any of his achievements are unparalleled. In a split second, Han Shuzi broke out in cold sweat. Many thoughts flashed through his mind. Finally, he made up his mind. Everyone of the Han family, listen to my order. Do not act rashly. Protect the last trace of the Han family's bloodline. Han Shuzi suddenly transmitted his voice as he was retreating. All the elders of the Han family thought that they had heard wrongly. What? The old ancestor wants us to surrender? Since when did the old ancestor become someone who is afraid of death? We were once an ancient family. How can the pride in our bloodline bow to others? We would rather die than submit. The elders were extremely unwilling. Han Shuzi shouted again. I will say it again. This is an order. Do not resist. Han Shuzi's heart trembled as he muttered to himself. Lin Chen, kid, I am entrusting the fate of the entire Han family to you. Don't make me unable to face the ancestors of the Han family after I die. Chapter 463. Oh. Bai Yu and Bai Yunxing looked at each other in surprise when they saw that Han Shuzi, the most stubborn member of the Han family, had actually surrendered. Had they really thought it through? However, given the Han family's alchemy heritage, it would be a great help if they could make them submit. Could they be plotting something? That's not very likely. Their strength has been completely suppressed. We have also informed Ling Xiao and the others. Suppressing the Han family is a must. The two war emperors communicated privately. When Bai Yunxing looked at Lin Chen's confident expression again, he found it hilarious. He could not wait to see the look of despair on that little bastard's face. Just as all the Yuan venerate elders of the Han family were hesitating whether to surrender, the void rippled slowly. Two figures with blood-red battle cheese appeared in the void. What's wrong? Did something happen to you? We just finished suppressing the target force. Why did you summon us? Is the Han family surrendering? Two middle-aged men with sharp eyes and sharp eyebrows questioned the two of them. When the aura of the war emperors descended once again, the situation in the Han family changed again. Following closely behind the two war emperors was another group of Yuan venerates. There were at least 100 people, and 90% of them were 4th-level Yuan venerates and above. There were also 10 9th-level Yuan venerates. There were also 2 half-step emperors. Including the original 150 people, there were now more than 250 mid-level and high-level Yuan venerates. All the Han family members felt as if they had fallen into an ice cellar. It was over. They had lost their last chance to fight. They could only become slaves and be humiliated by others. Even Han Shuzi could not help but tremble. He was questioning himself. Had he made the wrong decision? 4 war emperors and 1 late-stage, 2nd-level Yuan venerate. Even Han Shuzi could only be suppressed by such a lineup. It's fine. We called you here because this kid wants to see how strong we are. This is a big fish. Lin Chen, the 4-time champion of the Heavenly Spirit list. Bai Yu sneered. The other 2 war emperors looked at Lin Chen. Ha ha ha. Lin Chen, it's actually you. At that moment, the Yuan venerate crowd burst into hysterical laughter. It was a cold and sinister young man. However, one of his arms was already broken. It was Ling Tian. One of the 4 heavenly kings, Ling Tian. After more than a year, he had also become a Yuan venerate and become a member of the army controlled by the Ling family. Just when everyone was interested in Lin Chen, and Bai Yunxing wanted to see his expression turn into one of despair, Lin Chen actually smiled casually. Oh, it's you, you useless dog. You managed to escape the last time when the holy fire level tried to rob me, but I'm not sure what will happen this time. Seeing how calm he was, the 4 battle emperors were all stunned. Could it be that this kid didn't see the situation in front of him clearly? Don't tell me you still think that the people from Heavenly Song Academy will come to save you? Even if the Heavenly Song Academy has the ability to kill us, we 4 battle emperors are enough to kill you, Lin Chen. They can't do anything to us if we retreat. Bai Yunxing laughed maniacally. His only son, Bai Tianqi, had died in the hands of Lin Chen. He could not wait to kill him. If it was not for the fact that he had to offer his body to that person, he would have already broken Lin Chen's arms and legs to let him enjoy himself. No, 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 I believe in the strength of everyone here and I believe in your words. At that moment, Lin Chen suddenly nodded and said seriously. What happened next was beyond everyone's expectations. Lin Chen was so excited that he was trembling. He swallowed his saliva and asked Bai Yunxing excitedly, his eyes sparkling. Do you still have any of your men? The 4 battle emperors were stunned. The hundreds of Yuan venerates were also stunned. The Han family was also stunned. Everyone in Class 66 was also stunned. Did he think that he was calling for a chicken? Or cooking? Did he want to cook one dish after another? This kid is crazy. Ling Xiao, the late 1st-level battle emperor of the Ling family, sneered. Hee, this little brother must have been scared silly. However, we only have so many people in this area. It's more than enough to suppress all of you. Ling Qing shook his head and laughed. Why were the young people nowadays getting weirder and weirder the more talented they were? No more. Lin Mao sighed in disappointment. which made the corners of the mouths of many warriors twitch. You think 4 combat emperors are too few? Han Shuzi did not dare to act rashly. He was sweating profusely and his palms were sweaty. The 2 battle emperors of the Ling family did not look like the helpers Lin Chen had called for. Could it be that he had lost his mind temporarily? It seems that this little guy thinks that we don't dare to touch him. Looks like this old man will have to teach him the price of arrogance. Bai Yu smiled sinisterly. A ball of distorted mind energy was spinning in his palm. Just as he was about to shoot it towards Lin Chen's forehead, the vision changed. At this moment, besides the calmness on that youthful face, there was also a raging battle intent that could overturn the heavens burning in the depths of his pupils. Ha 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 ha. He suddenly laughed wildly, which was abrupt and strange. What are you laughing at? Bai Yunxing shouted angrily. Lin Chen's blood-stained mouth was trembling because of his extreme excitement. His voice was trembling. I'm laughing at the fact that you sent yourselves to be killed. It would be great if a few more battle emperors came. Then I could kill all of you. Looking at Lin Chen's arrogant and sinister smile, everyone felt their scalps go numb and their hearts skip a beat. Kill all of them? Was he crazy or stupid? Could it be that he did not understand the current situation? There were more than 200 powerful Yuan venerables and 4 battle emperors. One of them was even at the late stage of the 2nd-level battle emperor realm. Under such circumstances, a Yuan venerate like him was not worth mentioning at all. He would not be able to cause any trouble. However, everyone felt an inexplicable sense of lingering fear. The eyes of a few elites trembled slightly. They could vaguely feel that this kid was not joking. There are still 2 half-step battle emperors maintaining the spatial boundary over there, right? Lin Chen's gaze swept towards the southeast direction of the spatial boundary, and he smiled sinisterly. Interesting. I would like to see how you are going to kill all of us today. The green-robed swordsman, Bai Yunxing, was so angry that he laughed as if he had heard the funniest joke in the world. The difference between a Yuan venerate and a battle emperor was like heaven and earth. Not to mention a 2nd-level battle emperor. A 2nd-level battle emperor's strength could turn the most outstanding genius of the Yuan venerate realm into ashes with just a flick of his finger. It did not matter if it was a 9th-level Yuan venerate or a 1st-level Yuan venerate. Lin Chen looked at all the enemies. There were 250 Yuan venerables and 4 battle emperors. There was only one way to break out of this predicament. Similarly, there was no better opportunity than this. Lin Chen roared towards the sky. Come out, God Slayer. Chapter 464. An unprecedented wave of battle chi gushed out from Lin Chen's body. It was as if the universe was about to explode, and time and space were about to be flipped upside down. Bang! Crack! Crack! Lin Chen's body glowed with a crimson glow. The terrifying wave of battle chi had completely destroyed the battle chi binding Bai Yunxing on Lin Chen and forced him to retreat. Even the other 3 battle emperors were thrown off balance by the sudden burst of battle chi. They had to retreat a few steps before they could stabilize themselves. Boom! 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 The heavens and earth were roaring and the earth was shaking. The wind and clouds suddenly turned into an energy vortex that spun around Lin Chen. What happened? Something's not right. This brat's aura has suddenly skyrocketed. How is that possible? No matter how powerful a cultivation technique is, it can't close the gap between a Yuan venerate and a battle emperor. Many of the elites exclaimed in shock. In just half a breath's time, Lin Chen's battle chi had skyrocketed and his aura was unparalleled. Unparalleled in the 9 prefectures. He had broken through the bottleneck of the battle emperor realm from the 3rd-level Yuan venerate realm. Lin Chen's short hair danced wildly in the wind. His eyes were as vast as the universe, as if the sun and the moon were rotating. His strength increased 10-fold, 100-fold, 500-fold, 1,000-fold, 1,000-fold, 2,000-fold, 3,000-fold. Everyone was dumbfounded. Lin Chen's aura had gone from the third-level Yuan Venerate realm to the peak of the Yuan Venerate realm, and then to the Battle Emperor realm. Throughout the history of the 9 prefectures, such a heaven-defying thing had never happened before. This was not a king realm that mortals could touch. Was this the descent of a god? But it seemed like even a god did not have the power to make a Yuan Venerate realm cultivator become a Battle Emperor realm cultivator. Everyone's knowledge, common sense, beliefs, and worldview had all collapsed. It was as if an ant that was no threat to you had suddenly transformed into a giant dragon at an extremely fast speed and was facing you face to face. Lin Chen's Battle Qi natal palaces rose from 3 to 9 at lightning speed. Then, the 9 Battle Qi natal palaces shattered and transformed into endless torrential Battle Qi that fused into his body, creating the unparalleled Battle Emperor physique. His psyche was like the vast starry sky, like the stars that stretched for thousands of miles. Countless psyche seeds grew rapidly. 100 seeds, 500 seeds, 1,000 seeds. The psyche above his head that was rising steadily turned into a psyche virtual image that was tens of thousands of feet tall. It soared into the sky like billions of galaxies, shining through the ages. A slight mental wave could shatter a plane of existence. With a furious roar, Baiyu reached out with his old hand. His 5 fingers shattered the howling ghost god Battle Qi and condensed it into a ghostly green palm that smashed down furiously. Rumble! Lin Chen raised his hand and punched out. Wherever the fist wind reached, the void within 10,000 miles turned into a vacuum. He shattered Baiyu's huge green energy palm with one punch. With a pale face and a horrified expression, he retreated more than 100 steps with blood dripping from the corner of his mouth. After he stabilized himself, he said in disbelief, "And 1,000,000 dragon energy points? You're a body-tempering battle emperor? Lin Chen, I'll help you." Han Shuzi was about to dash to Lin Chen when he raised his hand. "Senior, leave this place to me. You go and cover everyone's retreat. I've sensed that the entire spiritual state is in chaos. Although I've protected everyone with my battle qi, it can only last for a while. We still need cover." "But you?" Han Shuzi was a bit hesitant. "To the current me, they are just a bunch of rabble." Whoosh! Flowers fell from the sky. The huge eagle claw was like a world-ending disaster. Then, a finger beam shot out like a jumping star. It was Ling Xiao and Ling Qing. As Lin Chen smiled confidently, Bai Yunqing struck out with his sword at lightning speed. The sword energy swept across 3,000 miles, and its sharpness froze the world. His sword was a genuine 7th-tier famed sword. Blue light soared into the sky. When his ancient azure sword pierced toward Lin Chen, hundreds of thousands of feet of the void collapsed and shattered. Billions of stars shot out, and the sword beam pierced through the world like a dragon. Qi. The Shura spiritual virtual image above his head was instantly enraged. With a single thought from Lin Chen, the 2 spiritual illusionary figures began chanting and unleashed 2 spiritual sound waves that could shock the world. They crushed the eagle claw and the sky-reaching finger light into countless shards of light, as easily as crushing dry leaves. Golden calamity battle qi surrounded him, and more than 1,000,000 dragon energy points erupted. Lin Chen struck out with his spear. Boom! The spear swept away the clouds, and the azure sword beam was shattered into countless starlight fragments. Even the late-stage, second-grade attack was shattered by Lin Chen. The many Yuan venerates who were still unwilling to accept reality gasped and their teeth chattered crazily when they saw this scene. Lin Chen alone blocked 4 war emperors. Chapter 465. The attacks of the 4 war emperors were destroyed by the class monitor? Is this really the class monitor? This is too scary. The class monitor is actually a war emperor? This is unbelievable. I don't even dare to think about it. Brother Lin Chen is indeed a god that can never be predicted with common sense. A 20-year-old war emperor. A 20-year-old Yuan venerate is already unprecedented. What does it mean to be a 20-year-old war emperor? The class monitor is really a god. The students of Class 66 gasped in amazement. They knew Lin Chen's heaven-defying abilities better than anyone else, but they had never expected him to reach such a height. This kid is really a god. Meng Qianma was both shocked and overjoyed. The elders of the academy were so shocked that they felt dizzy. Lin Chen's trump card was actually so terrifying? He could actually fight against 4 war emperors. The only thing that puzzled them was why Lin Chen had to wait until the 4 war emperors were present before starting the battle. Couldn't he have made his move earlier? They would never have thought that Lin Chen would have the God Slayer talent even if they racked their brains. They would never have thought that the God Slayer talent would only be at its strongest when there were more enemies. Oh my god! Han Shuzi sucked in a breath of cold air when he saw that Lin Chen had destroyed the attacks of the late-stage, second-level war emperors and the other 3 war emperors so easily. He immediately knew what choice he had to make. You guys like to fight, right? Lin Chen grabbed the void with one hand. The dark calamity battle aura that filled the sky surged and rushed into the space of the retreating Yuan venerates. You want to touch our people? Not so easy. Bai Yu and Bai Yunxing's expressions changed slightly. Ling Xiao and Ling Qing moved abruptly and crossed thousands of miles in a flash. Lin Chen's eyes sharpened as he activated his purple-gold eyes. The moment he connected with Lin Chen's mind power, he saw a completely different scene. Purple runes swirled around his pupils, as if there were faint golden lotuses blooming within them. Lin Chen seemed to be able to see the rapidly changing space-overlapping runes in the void. The speed at which these space-overlapping runes changed allowed Lin Chen to determine the direction of his opponent. Almost instinctively, Lin Chen activated his Dark Calamity Battle Aura and 1,000,000 Dragon Power Points and slammed his palm forward. Between his 5 fingers, 9 coiling dragon-like dragon veins were swirling. Dark Dragon Palm, Soul-Devouring Eagle Claw, Deadly Wind Hand, Divine Shadow Wind Demon Kick. Lin Chen's palm print that tore through the void collided with the leg Shadow Divine Light that swept across the land with a loud bang. The space within 10,000 miles was shattered into a vacuum. Ling Xiao and Ling Qing were both pushed back a few steps by Lin Chen at the same time. Lin Chen also took 2 steps back. How did this brat know the tiny flaws in our battle techniques? The 2 of them were bewildered. Lin Chen's previous attack was actually aimed at the flaw in their battle technique. It's the Golden Eyes Twin Realm. The highest realm of the Golden Eyes Purple Eyes. I didn't expect that after my spiritual energy broke through the limit of the Transcendence Realm, I would actually step into the Golden Eyes Twin Realm for a short period of time. Lin Chen's heart was enlightened. Then, his shoulders shook, and his battle intent soared to the sky. The illusory spiritual images above his head suddenly split into 3. Azura's Fury. At the moment when the 3 illusory spiritual images crushed out endless sound waves, Lin Chen wielded his spear with one hand and performed another demon spear rend. The spear light flashed across the sky for 10,000 miles and fiercely slammed into the space where the other 2 emperors were. This brat's strength is very strong. It doesn't look like he's bluffing at all. This is the true strength of a battle emperor. Don't hold back, kill him. He has such strength at such a young age. If we let him escape, he will definitely be a disaster. The 4 battle emperors attacked again one after another, but Lin Chen's 8 types of tribulation battle chi were even faster. The wind calamity tornado enveloped all the Yuan venerate. While they were panicking, streaks of lightning pierced through the void and killed many of the 5th level to 7th level Yuan venerates. Attribute light balls and spirit storage rings rolled down. Lin Chen's fingers curled into a fist. The moment he clenched his fist, he spoke in a cold voice. Those below the 9th level Yuan venerate explode. No, don't. What the hell is this? Chi. Bang. 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 When Lin Chen's dark calamity battle chi entered the bodies of the Yuan venerates, it was everywhere. All the Yuan venerates screamed in pain. In just half a breath, the chaotic energy in their bodies exploded like fireworks, completely shattering their internal organs and scattering them into the void. Every Yuan venerate dropped 3 to 8 attribute light balls. Because of the restrictions of the God Slayer innate skill, they only dropped 4 attribute light balls. Rune energy, cultivation technique essence, heaven path points, and talent points. Some of the elders of the Han family, who were protecting the Han family members as they left, couldn't help but tremble in fear when they saw this scene. Lin Chen's move had actually killed more than 220 mid-level and high-level Yuan venerates on the spot. This was an extremely terrifying number in the entire spiritual state. Those high-level Yuan venerates, who had once been respected by the ancient families, had died at the hands of Lin Chen as easily as slaughtering chickens. Lin Chen's figure was like a demon king descending into the world. The remaining 29 9th-level Yuan venerates and a few half-step monarchs were terrified as they tried their best to escape. However, Lin Chen's 8 types of tribulation battle chi wreaked havoc as if they were constructing layers of hell. They simply didn't have a chance to escape. Countless young men and women stared at the young figure in the void before they left. They were so shocked that their hearts trembled in fear. He had killed hundreds of Yuan venerates with one palm. What kind of peerless elegance was this? What kind of heroic spirit was this? His back view was like that of a supreme god, holding up the universe and looking down on the chaotic world. After today, his name would resound throughout the 9 states for all eternity. It would surpass all the miracles in the history of the 9 states human race. Roar. A dragon's roar filled the sky as the 10,000-year profound green dragon used the green dragon vanishing shadow to sneak into the void and execute the startling dragon roaming technique. It used its fastest speed to swallow all the corpses of the Yuan venerates and their spirit-receiving rings. These spirit-receiving rings were a huge fortune. For Lin Chen, this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Under normal circumstances, Lin Chen would have to go all out to kill an 8th-level Yuan venerate. Now, he could wipe out a group of Yuan venerates effortlessly. Perhaps he wouldn't have this opportunity again before he became a true war emperor. In addition to the spirit-receiving rings, the 10,000-year profound green dragon's body came into contact with many attribute light balls that turned into streams of light and entered the dragon's body. The system screen kept popping up. Host has received 90 points of rune energy, 25 points of cultivation technique essence, 150 points of heaven path, 100 points of talent value. These attribute values were limited by the God Slayer innate skill and weren't as high as Lin Chen's when he was in his normal state. However, there were so many of them that it was still very frightening to collect them all. Rumble. Sword chi divided heaven and earth as the cold ghostly aura condensed into the color of blood. A huge bloody skeleton appeared in the sky as 2 thunderous roars reverberated through the sky. Lin Chen. You will die today. How dare you kill so many of our Ling family's powerhouses? Even the heavens won't be able to save you. The 4 war emperors were enraged. Their battle chi swept across the sky and shattered many of Lin Chen's tribulation battle chi, causing chaos in the 9 heavens. Among them, only Bai Yu was at the mid-1st level, and the 2 war emperors were at the late 1st level. Only Bai Yunxing was at the late 2nd level. Is that so? I wonder what will happen next when the God Slayer innate skill is combined with the God Slayer innate skill. The corners of Lin Chen's mouth curled into a devilish, wild, and cold smile. Chapter 466. Because the power boost from the God Slayer was only a function of the system and not Lin Chen's own battle chi, he could not use the Shura 9 Brilliance transformation to trigger the 5 transformation. Also, Lin Chen did not use any of his special runes in his previous attacks because the charging and penetrating runes were based on the user's strength and combat skills. Activating the special runes in the God Slayer state would consume a lot of energy. Lin Chen's 2000 intermediate runes were not enough for him to use the charging runes in a few moves. Of course, the doppelganger was not compatible with the God Slayer. Otherwise, Lin Chen would be able to defeat everyone in his current state. However, there was no limit to the ultimate moment. We've already figured out your strength. You're only at the middle stage of Tier 1, plus some brute force and spiritual power. That's all there is to it. For the 4 of us, we don't even know who will win. Thanks to Bai Yunxing's sneer, Lin Chen knew that he was only at the middle stage of Tier 1. Qian Yuan Sword Chi. Bai Yunxing's sword struck 3,000 miles away. He swung his sword and slashed down. Like 7 constellations, the dazzling sword chi was tens of thousands of feet wide. The sword swung in all directions and destroyed everything in its path. Sinluo Heavenly Star Hand. Bai Yu knocked his walking stick. His old and withered palm penetrated the void. Tens of thousands of skeletons circled around and turned into a giant hand that was shining with starlight. Sky Rock. Ling Xiao and Ling Qing joined forces. 2 terrifying waves of battle chi were condensed and pushed out, turning into a giant wind blade rock that was thousands of acres large. It furiously struck the heavens and pounced towards Lin Chen. The space in the Han family's territory was trembling. The 4 battle emperors had all used their own purple tier combat skills. A purple tier battle skill unleashed by a war emperor, that kind of power, it wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that it could flatten mountains and rivers. Glancing at the 85,600 talent points and 73900 intermediate rune energy that he had accumulated, Lin Chen let out a chilling laugh. What if it's like this? System, activate the ultimate moment of 10,000 talent points. Boom. The heavenly tribulation battle chi that could shake the heavens and the earth erupted. As his silver robes fluttered, crimson clouds curled around him. Deep blue light emitted from his body like stars. Lin Chen had shockingly activated the ultimate moment option that could last for the longest time. 1,000 devils pierce the heart. Azura's fury. The vast and deep shadow spear aura was endless, like a peacock spreading its tail. It was imbued with 1,000,000 dragon power points and pushed forward layer by layer. 3 strikes of Azura's wrath shattered the universe, raging against the heavens. At this moment, Lin Chen's rune energy had decreased by 9,500 points. Rumble. Activating the charging rune, this world-shaking attack brazenly collided with the 4 war emperors' purple rank battle skills. The entire Han clan was reduced to ashes in an instant. The spatial crystal walls within a radius of 200,000 miles were shattered into a vacuum zone. If it weren't for the fact that Han Shuzi and the other Yuan venerates had evacuated the Han clan's territory quickly, all of them would have died in this collision. Although the 4 war emperors wanted to protect the remaining 29 9th-level Yuan venerates and 5 half-step war emperors, Lin Chen's Azura's fury, which had been boosted by the charging rune, pierced through the chaotic storm of battle chi and killed all the 9th-level Yuan venerates. The remaining 5 half-step war emperors were all seriously injured and on the verge of death. Boom. The purple phoenix wings on Lin Chen's back flap. This time, the purple phoenix wings had completely reached the limit of life genes. It was thousands of feet long and hundreds of feet wide. It had completely displayed the divine power of the true flame purple phoenix. Coupled with the purple phoenix wings, Lin Chen took a step forward and activated the astral treading teleportation technique to leap through the void. Using the divine movement technique, he traveled tens of thousands of miles in the blink of an eye. Lin Chen unleashed a series of palm strikes and unleashed a few waves of psyche. After that, he had killed all 5 half-step combat emperors. Then, he unleashed the azure dragon and swallowed all the corpses and soul storage rings, taking away their elemental light balls. Whoosh! As the sword beam slashed down, Lin Chen spun in the air and smashed down with his 5 dragons' imperial spear, shattering the sword beam that came slashing down. Bai Yunxing couldn't even protect the last half-step war emperor. At this moment, the manifold profound green dragon was almost saturated with energy. It was crazily devouring and refining the energy of the corpses. After the deaths of so many Yuan venerables, although their Yuan mansion battle chi was damaged and their blood chi couldn't compare to that of high-tier dire beasts, the quantity was still very terrifying. As a result, the pure power of Lin Chen's manifold profound green dragon soared rapidly. The dragon veins broke through 11,000, 12,000, 13,000, and the dragon veins opened wildly. Lin Chen couldn't suppress the joy in his heart. After this, his green dragon would definitely soar to a whole new level. Don't worry, the 4 of you will also accompany them. Lin Chen smiled coldly. The 5 dragons' imperial spear turned into a dragon light and disappeared into the spirit ring. Clang! 2 streams of light shot out. Lin Chen held the Eternal Night in his right hand and the Extreme Spirit Illusion Tower in his left. 1 sword and 1 saber, their sharpness shook the heavens. Although spear arts were Lin Chen's forte, Lin Chen, who was in the War Emperor realm, could perfectly unleash the might of the Eternal Night War Blade. On the other hand, the quasi-7th rank 5 Dragons Imperial Spear was slightly inferior. After absorbing the attribute light balls dropped by 29 9th level Yuan Venerables and 5 half-step Martial Emperors, Lin Chen's mid-grade rune energy exceeded 100,000 points. Soul Slaying Mysterious God Slash. Dark Calamity Battle Chi surged as the Eternal Night War Saber turned around and slashed out fiercely. The space that the saber slashed through turned into endless darkness. All the light within a radius of 100,000 miles was absorbed and extinguished. It was as if everything would be reduced to eternal darkness. This terrifying battle technique made the 4 War Emperors' hair stand on end. This had already exceeded the scope of a low-grade purple-tier battle technique. It was at least a mid-grade purple-tier battle technique. Extreme Spirit Illusion Tower. The Extreme Spirit Illusion Tower suddenly stabbed out. A light sword intent reflected in the darkness, illuminating the night and shattering the void for 3,000 miles. Sky reflecting mountains and rivers. Bai Yunxing slashed out with his sword, trying to cut through the darkness. However, the saber light formed by the Dark Calamity Battle Chi slashed horizontally. The sword light that could shatter the universe followed closely behind and pierced through the space where the 4 War Emperors were. Rumble! Bang! Bang! The 4 War Emperors were sent flying thousands of miles away at the same time. Blood flowed from the corners of their mouth. Even the late-stage, second-level Yuan Venerate Bai Yunxing was no exception. The 4 of them were filled with shock. Lin Chen held the saber in a reverse grip and the sword in his right hand. As the purple phoenix wings flapped, 1,000,000 dragon power points burst out. He used the astral treading teleportation technique and his body spun rapidly. Together with the Eternal Night War Saber and the Extreme Spirit Illusion Tower, he stirred up a vast storm. With Lin Chen as the center, a storm of saber and sword chi was formed. It spiraled down from the sky and swept up billions of stars. The 4 War Emperors used their trump cards. Many palm prints, claw techniques, and ghostly sword lights appeared one after another and collided with the storm. The heaven and earth trembled, the sun and the moon dimmed. In the area where the 5 War Emperors were fighting, sand and pebbles flew everywhere. Not even a blade of grass grew. The ground sank and the sky cracked. It was as terrifying as the end of the world. Wherever it went, mountains and rivers were flattened. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.